What is up, bros, and welcome to the All Bros podcast. I am Jonathan.
And I'm Caleb.
And we are... I almost said welcomed. Wow. We are joined by, hate to say this, Vic, our third host.
Hey.
I'm sorry. Can we just make it official?
I've already crossed out on the shirt. I've crossed out the so it just says the official third host.
I love it. I love it.
That's right. It's your favorite guest host on the East Coast. It's DJ, everybody.
So once again, DJ is joining us on this week's episode. And yeah, it's going to be a fun one. I think I already bypassed what we usually always say with, we're aspiring filmmakers that love to watch and critique movies, but also enjoy a lot of it of the nerd life. There it is. But anyway.
You honestly could have skipped it this go around.
I feel I should have, but you know what, whatever. Might as well just add it in now. But anyway, so for this week's episode, we got one title to talk about with 4K Spotlight. We got nothing for Through the Wall. And then after that, we'll be moving on to our headliner of the evening, which will be our All Bros and I almost said Crash and Taz. Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
I know. I'm sorry.
Listen, if you're going to be compared to someone, be compared to greatness. That's all I'm saying, Crash and Taz, they're some great dudes.
That's so sweet. We will be doing an All Bros and Untrained Eye breakdown of Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
I mean, listen, when I saw Sonic 2 today, there was a trailer for Across the Spider-Verse or whatever, Part 1, which, Part 1, really. But I feel like Vic will be with us here in spirit today just because I saw that Spider-Man, trailer.
That's fair. Whenever the word Spider-Man is brought up, he's here. Always. But anyway, what do you say we guys get? Oh my freaking hell. What do you say we guys get? Oh my good lord.
Rose.
Yeah.
Rose.
What do you two say we get started?
Well, I'd say that's just dandy.
All right.
Oh shit, I forgot who we did last week.
Do his really slow or fast one. I can't remember.
It's the pitch down one.
Hey everybody,
Here
it's
we go.
me.
Need motivation? Angry Dad Podcast. Trying to jumpstart your life? Angry Dad Podcast. You want help getting off the couch? Angry Dad Podcast. You need a verbal kick in the ass? Angry Dad Podcast. You want to hear from somebody who's been through it all? Angry Dad Podcast. I am here for you. You can find me on all podcast platforms.
I'm not saying anything. But
you just did, though.
Everything is perfectly normal, Rose. You are the one saying things right now. I don't know what you're talking about. Everything sounded the exact right speed. Go listen to the Angry Dad. We love Ben.
Dude, I love his show so much.
By the way, I would like to say, I forgot even to say it to him. When he was on here, he acknowledged me as the one and only third host of the show. And I would just like to say thank you, Ben, for recognizing my status on the All Brothers podcast.
Well, Vic, if Angry Dad says if he says it, DJ's the third host, then I'm sorry. I guess it's official.
I mean, listen, Vic strikes me as a Wolverine-esque character where, most people would look at Ben and go, no, thank you. Where Vic would be like, I do like a challenge, and just run right up his leg. Here we go!
I think Vic in that situation would be more like Scrappy-Doo, just
why I oughta
way too much confidence in such a small frame.
Why does everyone have to make fun of Scrappy-Doo?
Because the movie, Rose, because the movie.
He wasn't that bad in the first show he was in.
Yeah,
they
but
just
we're not talking about the
utilized
show.
him too much. Okay.
We're not talking about the show. We're talking about the movie where he was terrible and no one liked him.
Did you guys hear the story behind that? Like what Hanna-Barbera said with Scrappy-Doo with the first Scooby-Doo movie?
But didn't he hate Scrappy?
So Hanna-Barbera, the two creators, I mean, they created him, but yeah, then they hated him. But basically, Roger Gosnell, the director of Scooby-Doo, wanted Scrappy-Doo in it, but he didn't want to make him a villain. He actually wanted him to be a part of Mystery Inc. But Hanna-Barbera, they were just like, yeah, the only way that we are letting you put Scrappy-Doo in the movie is if you make him a villain.
That's amazing. Also a terrible idea. Which, hindsight's 2020 or whatever, but come on. What we're about to talk about today, I know I didn't get to talk about the first one with you guys, but I feel like I saw something, someone talking about Sonic, about when does it happen that all of the things happen the way they did for Sonic? The trailer was released. It was hated universally by young and old. The movie was pushed back so that the studio that, by all rights, should have told all the fans to go straight to hell. And then, we made this movie. It took a lot of time and money. So you're going to watch the movie we give you. But instead, they were like, we're going to go ahead and try and walk this back a little bit. They did it. But then the movie was successful and successful enough to get a second one. That is not normal. I've started to tell you that story for a reason, and I forgot it halfway through, but I was really just chugging along.
Yeah, I was wondering, I'm like, how does this tie into Scrappy?
He was getting there, just, he never got there.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I was going to say. You can't, sometimes you have to listen to the people, Sonic is a great example of that, and now Scrappy is the sad, good example of that, where don't do that. Don't do that thing you did.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to get some... I feel like I'm going to hear something from Vic when he hears that we compared him to Scrappy-Doo.
You guys did. I was very complimentary to Vic, and you all decided to tear him down. But I would just like to say that DJ loves Vic. Cannot wait for the next All Bros takeover, where we do Scooby-Doo, the movie.
Vic, all I'm saying is I love Scrappy-Doo. I feel I'm one of the few that actually does.
Yeah, but I mean, could you imagine that fight though? Between I forget how tall Vic is. It's 5'4", I think.
Yeah, and
really, he's only that tall?
Yeah, so Vic is 5'4" and Ben is 6'5".
Oh shit! Oh, yeah.
That fight would just be.
Well, listen, I'm 5'3", so I will just I will let Vic hop on my shoulders, and we'll just run right at him, and. Because combined, two All Bros side hosts are one Ben Bowman.
Oh my god, I love it.
Dude, that's a fight that I would pay extreme amounts of money on pay-per-view to watch.
I mean, it's a fight that if I was a part of, I'd have to get paid extreme to do it because I'm not winning. So try as I might, and I will, by the way, I will bite, I will cheat, I will call in favors, all of it, and I'll still lose.
Oh, he ain't holding anything back. Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
Anyway, getting into 4K Spotlight.
Sorry, fellas.
So, don't apologize, man. You're good. So this week, there's only one that we want to talk about because the other one was Moonfall, and literally none of us have seen it. But if you guys have seen it and enjoyed it, it's coming to 4K and Blu-ray as well as a Best Buy exclusive steelbook. So if you guys want to get that, by all means. But the other title that's releasing is Singing in the Rain on 4K. That will also be coming with a Best Buy exclusive steelbook. But what is very confusing, or what is confusing me, is that it's still not up for pre-order. It says it's a Best Buy exclusive. And when you go to click pre-order on the Blu-ray.com website, it takes you to the Singing in the Rain box set that they're doing as well. But it says, currently unavailable. We don't know when or if this item will be back in stock. So I'm very confused. And if I can't get the steelbook, I'm going to be very sad. Not going to lie.
Dude, Best Buy needs to get their shit together.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if you guys like pay attention to like the Blu-ray world, but I know a lot of people were mad last Tuesday or this, like when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, because literally unless you pre-ordered the Steelbook literally right when the movie came out, because that's when it went out, the pre-order went live back in December, you didn't get one. The pre-orders were sold out for months. It kept saying coming soon, and then on release date said sold out.
God,
yeah,
hilarious.
That is hilarious. It was sold out since December.
But that's the thing. Crap. Like, listen, on normally I would say, yeah, that's messed up. But with something like that, like, I'm sorry, like, especially if you are like you, Rose, and you are a Steelbook collector, and then you understand what is about to happen with No Way Home, like, you're.
Oh, we lost DJ. Now.
So as I was saying, very valid, poignant point that everyone thought was really good. Seamless transition into what we're talking about now, which is the next thing, Rose. I have no idea what I was saying. It was I felt pretty good about myself, whatever I was saying. Like, I was very much about to sit back in my chair and fold my arms. Like, what a great point I'm making. And then I saw your eyes. I saw your eyes get as big as I've ever seen two eyeballs get in a human being that's not dying. And I saw you go completely white. Like, you just disappeared.
While you were figuring this out, I actually went back and listened to what you said and wrote it down.
Hey.
You were saying that since it's been, or No Way Home has been sold out since December, and you said that's messed up, or telling Rose that you understand, or him understanding what's going to happen with No Way Home, and then you got cut off.
Man, I think that was the perfect I think the internet knew. It was like, you made the most baller point. End of sentence. We're just turning off your whole computer. By the way, can I just say, I had to turn my computer all the way off, and do you know what it said to me? Hey, you ready for the update? And I was like, no. And thankfully it was a quick one, because I really thought I was going to have to call you and be like, well, it was a good start. We'll finish it tomorrow. Or not. Maybe I'll just be like, guys, you finished it without me. I'll just write in what I thought.
No, we've gone to too much to not break this movie down.
For sure. Yeah. So everyone go see Singing in the Rain. Go see No Way Home. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, for you, DJ, it is now on Vudu.
Which one? Oh, No Way Home, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I went and did a movie dump the other day, and so there's a few.
That sounds like something you do when you eat
too
much popcorn. You're like, oh god, I got a refill, and I shouldn't have. It's movie dump time.
Yeah, I heard it as soon as it was coming out of my mouth.
You hope your friends wouldn't point it out, but only your true friends would.
Damn right.
Yep.
By the way, before we get into that, though, I do want to say, Rose, I am enjoying the Gacy Gazette. I think everyone should go and listen to it if they're not.
Dude, the Gacy Gazette is, both episodes are in our top 5, and I'm pretty sure episode 2 is our number 1 downloaded.
So there you go. I'm recommending nothing then. So don't listen to me. You're already doing it.
I'm reworking some stuff, so hopefully episode 3 is a lot more enjoyable than the last 2 have been.
Listen, I don't want to say anything, but this is one thing I will say. Don't apologize. Don't apologize to the people when you're like, hey, I'm sorry if it sounds like anything. No. If they are coming here for the Gacy Gazette, they're not like, no one's surprised. No one's like, oh my God, I can't believe he's talking about such foul acts.
You know what? Fair enough.
You mean this episode about John Wayne Gacy was about John Wayne Gacy?
Don't get me wrong. I get the idea of like giving someone like a heads up, like, hey, remember how this is movies normally? Well, this is going to be a little different. Prepare for some real stuff to happen, but just don't apologize. You're great.
Well, thank you.
Show over. Sonic 2 was great. We loved it.
Yeah. Speaking of Gacy, did you see that thing that I posted on Instagram? And then
yeah.
and then did you see what Caleb's wife Brielle commented?
No, because I think I saw it like right as you posted it.
Oh, she's just like, do I even want to know how much you spent on that? And I said, no, not really.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. You know what's funny? I didn't even think of that. Can you give us like a rough estimate of what your entire collection the cost is, or is that too personal a question? If it is, that's perfectly fine.
It's not personal at all. Well, considering, literally everything has come from Etsy when it comes to my John Wayne Gacy collection. Or as my buddy calls it, my John Wayne Gacy shrine.
But are you talking, when you say your buddy, you mean us all?
Another buddy.
We, the people that know and love you, Rose. Like Rose's shrine to a fun guy he is into.
Honestly, it's probably, don't hate me, but it's probably over $700.
That's not bad. Honestly, I thought you were going to, listen, I know how much like people want to overcharge for memorabilia stuff. So I truly was expecting you to say somewhere in the like $2,500 to $3,000 range. So I think you're doing pretty good.
Okay. Woo. Like I was telling Caleb, that autograph, like honestly, it was something that I've been saving up for quite a while, because it was something that like I would hoped I would maybe find for a decent deal, and when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I have to.
I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, even on this show, but that was like my thing when I found out when I was a kid that if you wrote to Charles Manson, he would like wrote everybody back. I was like, I'm sorry, why do we not all write this guy and have like something that he wrote, this crazy person, and you can just have it? He'll just send it to you? What? And I never did. And it's funny because when he died, I was like, it was one of those things that I was like, I had legitimate regret about, because I was like, I should have sent him a letter and tried to get one back. It's too late now.
I just can't believe that Gacy signed some of his mugshots. That's like one thing that I wouldn't expect him to sign. It's like, that's just showing that even though you say you weren't guilty, you were absolutely guilty. If you're willing to sign
he might not have been guilty, but he was famous. So sorry, Gacy Gazette, everybody. You might have heard of it. It's on this feed.
Yeah. You can find out how much more weirder I am.
Spoiler alert, not much. Rose is a pretty upfront guy.
Good. Anyway, moving on. What do you say we guys jump into? Oh my good lord, I cannot freaking talk today. What do you say we got? Oh my freaking god! What do you say we got? We jump into the headliner of this evening. Good lord, Jonathan.
Hey, Rose, just take a breath. Hey guys, what do you say we get into this here movie?
Thank you, DJ.
Let's do it.
All right, so for this week's All Bros and Untrained.
Crash and Taz. Nope. Crash and Taz.
I almost said it. I corrected myself.
Vic, you were
for this
always with us.
For this week's headliner, the three of us will be breaking down Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So, Caleb, would you like to tell everybody how we break down movies on this podcast if they don't know already?
Yes, I would. We have split movies into 8 different categories that we individually score to come to a final Almrose and Untrained Eye letter grade. The 8 categories that we score are story, writing, acting, character development, effects, music, costumes, and then we give it our own personal grade at the very end. All those numbers get magically added up, thrown into our algorithm, and spit out a letter grade for us to score. It gives this movie. It gives it.
Episode.
Shut up. It gives this movie a letter grade, which we use to compare to all the other movies that we've discussed.
It's beautiful.
I'm sorry. It's because I talk so much. I just make everybody else forget how to talk. And whenever I'm around, I just suck up all the words.
Oh, it doesn't help that I had a really long work day.
Well, or that there were technical
dude, I
difficulties
forgot.
on your guest's end.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm so not used to recording on a weekend that I honestly forgot that you worked today.
Yeah, I know, right?
So-
But
Well-
that's why we appreciate the All Brothers. They do anything, even coalesce to a guest who is like, "I'll be there," and then is like, "I can't," so we'll do it the next week.
Hey, and let us try something brand new, which was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
I am very excited. If you do listen to it and follow along, because we have it so you have to watch the movie while you listen to it. Otherwise, the stuff we talk about just makes zero sense.
I would say also, though, you could probably, if you're a normal podcast listener, which again, this is talking after the fact because it's already happened, but I'm pretty sure, because I just watched the first Sonic for the first time the day before I watched Sonic 2, and I'm pretty sure it's still fresh enough in my mind that I could listen to you guys talk about it and remember what was happening. So
All right.
that's my endorsement of a show I haven't heard yet.
Well, there's a lot of oh, that was a funny line, and then we not talking about what that line was at all.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we did do that.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, oh, that was a funny bit, and then we talk about that bit for a minute, not really referencing anything about the bit. So unless you have a photographic memory and know exactly when this stuff is, it might be a little difficult, but we're open to feedback about it.
Remind me about something after the show about this. I want to talk to you about something. Anyway, super cryptic. Sonic 2, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have not seen Sonic 2, Rose is about to spoil the entire movie for you. So please do yourself a favor and go check out this movie before listening to this breakdown.
Because this is how you do a sequel right.
Oh my gosh.
I said that on the way home. I was like, how rare is it for a sequel? Whatever. Spoilers. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Several months after defeating Dr. Robotnik and being adopted by Tom and Maddie Wachowski as their son, Sonic the Hedgehog attempts to help the public as a vigilante to little success. Tom advises Sonic to remain patient for the day his powers will be needed before he and Maddie depart for her sister Rachel's wedding in Hawaii. Sonic plans to have fun while home alone, but is attacked by Robotnik, who has returned with the help of Knuckles the Echidna. Knuckles desires to honor the legacy of his extinct tribe and demands the location of the legendary Master Emerald, an ancient relic that allows its possessor to bend reality to their will. Sonic is rescued by Miles Tails Prower, a two-tailed fox who idolizes him and came to warn him about Knuckles. Sonic convinces Tails to help him find the Master Emerald while Robotnik reunites with his assistant Stone and, scheming to steal the emerald for himself, offers to help Knuckles. Sonic and Tails follow clues on a map from Sonic's deceased guardian Longclaw to Siberia, where they find a compass with an old temple. Robotnik and Knuckles track them and pursue Sonic and Tails down a mountain. During an ensuing avalanche, Robotnik and Knuckles steal the compass. Tom rescues Sonic and Tails by using a ring to teleport them to the wedding. Rachel's fiancé Randall and his wedding guests reveal themselves as undercover agents of the Guardian Units of Nations, aka GUN, and capture Sonic, Tails, and Tom, irate with the truth about Randall. Wait, I'm sorry, I butchered that. Okay, so they capture Sonic, Tails, and Tom. Irate with the truth about Randall, Rachel works with Maddie to rescue them while Robotnik and Knuckles find an underwater temple containing the Master Emerald. Sonic goes to the temple and fights Knuckles, but Robotnik steals the emerald and leaves Knuckles to die with Sonic as the temple collapses. Sonic and Knuckles escape and agree to work together as Tails rescues them in a biplane. Robotnik absorbs the Master Emerald and becomes omnipotent. That's the word. In Green Hills, Robotnik destroys Gun's forces and creates a giant robot resembling himself. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles work together to fight the robot and reclaim the Master Emerald. But it shatters, releasing the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Tom and Maddie rescue Sonic, who uses the Chaos Emeralds to transform into Super Sonic. He destroys the robot before dispersing the emeralds and reverting back to normal. Knuckles restores the Master Emerald from the remaining shards and agrees to safeguard it with Sonic and Tails. The three resume an idyllic life with the Wachowskis. Stone infiltrates Gun as it begins searching for Robotnik's body in the mech's rubble. An agent reports to Gun, Commander Walters, that a 50-year-old file containing coordinates to a research facility which houses Project Shadow has been uncovered. God, I butchered that.
No, I thought it was good. Here's one question I have right up top for both of you. So what do you think the whole Jim Carrey sitch is going to be in Sonic 3 as far as Robotnik goes? Because as far as we know, he just quote unquote retired, right?
Yeah.
The way that I've seen it, I know that they said if he is officially done, then they won't include Eggman in the third one because no one else can play Eggman in their movies to these directors. But I don't know. I feel if they have a good enough script, then Jim Carrey would want to come back to play Eggman in the third one, because he has actually said that he wants to wear the fat suit. But
yes,
they wouldn't let him for Sonic 2. It's like, let the man do it. He wants to be like the OG original Eggman. Let him do it.
And by the way, if you noticed when Stone, when he converted the Mean Bean into the Robotnik headquarters, when Wade was near the end, when Wade was looking in on him, and he was scrolling through the different suits, one of the suits was Fat Suit Robotnik. So it was I feel like they put it there to be but no.
That's a mean tease.
There was also one of him in a ballerina outfit, which I thought was hilarious.
That is pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
My thoughts, if they don't include Robotnik, I am totally fine with Shadow being the villain.
The only problem I have
so.
with that is it's hard to do, especially with just introducing Shadow now. You have no knowledge of Shadow. It's very hard to do Shadow without acknowledging or bringing in Eggman. Because
you got to think Eggman, Robotnik had nothing to do with the Shadow Project as far as we're aware.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's true, but just, I don't know, in the comics, not comics, oh my god.
I was going to say,
wow. I mean, I'm sure there's Sonic comics, but most
there are
video games. Just from what I've seen in the video games, Shadow is always associated with Dr. Eggman, when it comes to bringing him in.
I mean, listen, my nephew, I think he had like probably the solution that will happen, because after we got out of the movie, I asked him, and he was like, they'll probably just have that his like sidekick like take over the mantle of Robotnik, and maybe not be Robotnik, but just take over that space, because since he was such a fanboy of him the whole time and kind of knows that tech anyway, so that might be the like fill in if Jim Carrey doesn't come back.
I can definitely see that happening.
Idea.
I don't hate that guy, but I mean, spoiler alert for the acting section of this, like Jim Carrey was like, again, he did so great. Like I couldn't imagine someone else even coming. Listen, they got the only Jim Carrey to another actor that's worked. Okay, we saw when they tried to do it with Jamie Kennedy in The Mask. We saw when they tried to go back in time with what was it, Dumb and Dumber, the two Dumb and Dumber guys.
Yeah.
But
I know exactly who you're talking about.
The only one that's worked is Jim Carrey to Neil Patrick Harris with Count Olaf. Like, that's the only person that has been able to take up a Jim Carrey role and make it as good or better. So I don't foresee anyone doing that for like the weirdly like loud side part of Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, I really hope that he comes back to play Robotnik. But if they wanted to move on from Robotnik, I'll be a little bit bummed out, but I have faith that they can make it happen. Like these two movies have made me believe that this crew knows what they're doing.
Yeah, even though, again, like, they clearly didn't know what they were doing at first. I mean, clearly the stories were always there, but again, with how he was supposed to look at first. Like, again, I saw recently, like, side-by-sides of what he was supposed to be and what he ended up being. And it's wild that it got all the way as far as it did. And everybody was like, yep, we did a great job.
Dude, I would love to have been a fly on the wall when they were designing that. They're just like, oh, we're going with a realistic Sonic the Hedgehog.
How about no?
I mean, he's got 5 fingers, bro. What are we talking about here? The realistic version, he stands up and speaks.
Yeah. Like, I remember saying this in our breakdown of the first one. There were definitely times where I felt you could tell when they replaced it with the new model. Because the old model, like, if they were going with that realistic route, he wasn't as lively as he usually is with, like, some other scenes. Like, there were times where he felt very, like, bland and, like, slow and all that. And so now, like, with this movie, the entire time he is, like, that lively, cartoony, running around, moving motion, and it felt so much better.
Yeah, I don't know, like, as far as, like, I think, because like I said, I just watched the first one as well. I liked the story in this one a lot better, only because, not that I necessarily think it was a better story, but I think that the first one was like, it seemed like they had to chop out like whole entire sections to be like, listen, there's nothing we can do here to like redo this animation, because it would go from like being day to night, and they would like barely know each other to like being best buds. And it was like, all right, listen, like, this is a good movie, so I'm going to put up with this, but this is kind of nonsense, like, what you're doing right now. Like, you're making such big leaps between, I found an alien hedgehog under my table, to, hey, we're best buds, let's get into a bar fight. Like, that doesn't happen in, like, the 5 hours you were supposed to be on the road, guy. But yeah, but then you go to this movie, and, like, there was stuff that I thought was kind of, like, where they may have gone like a little too far off the road, the beaten path of what Sonic was, or this movie was supposed to be, i.e. the whole the wedding in Hawaii where everyone was like a secret double agent the whole time. I was like,
hell.
I was like, really? I was like, this movie's been this good up to now, and this was the big turn, huh? Okay.
Dude, that is honestly the biggest thing that docked my score for story.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah,
Like,
same here.
you could cut that whole scene out and still have a solid movie.
Listen, here's what tears me about that is I completely agree with that. I couldn't agree more with something anyone ever said. But on the other hand, I almost feel like stuff like that was supposed to be makeup for stuff that had to get cut out of the first movie, because it seemed to, again, like follow along a lot with his wife and her sister, because they clearly like had almost zero part in that first movie except to just be like quick foils, and they're like, all right, gotta go have Sonic adventures now, see ya. So they got to have like a portion of the movie that was theirs, and it was nonsensical, but it wasn't bad. Like, it was funny. And it made enough sense, because they're like, well, the things are trapped, they gotta untrap them. How are we going to get them out of here and it not be another like, hey, I'm going to punch her fiance in the face and steal her wedding ring situation? Like, hey, we're all double agents. Like, this is a video game movie. Like, that is something that would happen in a video game, where suddenly everyone would be like, ha, we were all FBI agents. Operation Catfish was in full effect the whole time.
Dude, that pulled me out of the movie so bad. I'm like, so your whole Catfish mission was banking on Sonic ruining this wedding.
That's what's crazy about it. Like, it's so crazy. It's like, I'm willing to go along with it because, again, of the kind of movie it is, in the same way that, like, you go along with stuff that happens in Marvel movies, because you're like, well, of course he found out he could fly right now. It's convenient, but also we knew he was going to fly eventually. And it's the same thing with that, where it's like, it is like a lot of video game logic. Because really, if we were going to pick it apart for silly logic, like, okay, like, yes, they had the air bubble that you could suck in the game, but would that really work in real life to give you enough energy to lift up a pillar off of your buddy Knuckles? No. But was it amazing to see? And I didn't expect it at all. And he sucked that air bubble, and I almost stood up out of my chair and cheered. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Also, you have the weird thing. Okay, listen. I'm sorry. The weirdest part of the wedding scene, by far, was his ringtone. Like, Dad's ringtone, whatever the guy's name was. His ringtone was the video game theme music. And you're like, what world is this? Like, like, where did he get that from? What is that from? Do they have Sonic in this world, or does someone just make some dope 8-bit music and that's what he's super into? Guy from middle of Alabama or wherever he's from is super into 8-bit music? No. Like, what?
Well, you kind of got to think, like, they did the same thing with Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's true at the beginning.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
listen,
he had a Spider-Man ringtone. Like, come on.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
that's
listen.
just one of those things, like, you have to let go.
No, believe me, I get it. Like, what was it in Iron Man? I think it was the first Iron Man. Yeah, it was when the first Rhodey was there. Like, his cell phone ring was like the original Iron Man TV theme song, whatever, from like the 19 whatever it was. So, like, I get it, but also, like, that was so on the nose of, like, it was just a 1-for-1. It wasn't like an interpretation. It wasn't like someone's like, I had this idea for a song, but I'll just make it a ringtone instead. Like, it was just the video game music.
Yeah. Dude, that didn't affect my
No,
story
that didn't
score at all.
That
I
part-
loved every freaking second of that.
Listen, that didn't affect it. I'm just saying, as far as that scene went, that to me was the craziest thing that happened. All of them being like, we were all FBI the whole time. Not crazy. That guy just being like, I just really like this 8-bit. It's just amazing. It's amazing music. You would think that I love country. What is it? Florida Georgia Line. No. I love 8-bit music. All I do is listen to video game soundtracks. And also I'm the sheriff.
I feel the one thing that would probably make me eye roll is if his ringtone was the song from the ending song from the first one, the "Speed Me Up."
Ha!
I'd have been like, "Oh God!"
Listen, it should have been "Gotta Go Fast" from the cartoon.
Or what about Supersonic Racing?
Dude, there's so many. I love this movie. Can I just tell you a spoiler? I love this movie. Like this movie, and especially double featuring it with the first one. Like this, the story. Okay, we've got past the wedding. Everything else in this movie was so good. Like him, like having the movie starting almost like you guys have seen Back to the Future, right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
So did you say no?
Yeah, I've never seen Back to the Future.
Dude,
All right,
what?
cool. I mean, you start this show by saying a couple of aspiring filmmakers. What are you aspiring to?
In my defense, Caleb hasn't seen Singing in the Rain. I feel I can get like somewhat of a pass here.
You cannot. You absolutely cannot.
Back to the Future,
that movie,
dude?
Listen to me, sir. That movie is from 1952. Okay? What are you even saying? Christopher Lloyd, Michael J. Fox, what? Listen, it's fine. I'm not upset about it.
All I'm saying is Singing in the Rain is the epitome of musical in the movie industry. So the fact that Caleb hasn't seen that, I can't believe.
So I don't disagree with you. Are you an aspiring filmmaker to make musicals?
I would love to make a musical, honestly.
You're a liar. Anyway, mute his microphone. This is the DJ and Caleb show now.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I feel like every once in a while we get these things that we haven't seen that make us lose so much credibility.
I am a bit flabbergasted. Like, to not see the second and third one, that would still be a tragedy, but I could understand if you were like, I saw the first one, I get it. They freaking drive a car in space or whatever. But to not even see the first one, okay, it's
the sad thing
fine.
the sad thing is I own it. I own the 4K Steelbook set. Still
Dude,
haven't opened it.
What the hell?
Please, I'm
sorry.
asking you, you don't have to watch them all. Just watch the first one. Just please make that the next thing you do. You don't have to watch Moon Knight. You don't have to watch The Mandalorian. You don't have to watch anything else. Just watch the one.
I've
I'm
honestly kind of given up on The Mandalorian, so I wasn't going to go back.
You know what?
Sorry.
Giving up? You didn't even give it a shot.
I watched the first season.
Because I sat there and watched it with you.
Hold on. Whoa. Stop. You watched the entire first season and your reaction to that was, I just gave up? That was...
I mean, I don't know. It's just like, it's good, but I'm the kind of... I'm one of the rare people that like loves the sequel trilogy. I hate The Last Jedi, but I love The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. And so... I don't know, like them, like kind of going with like kind of like old Star Wars, kind of with the Mandalorian, and I guess I don't know if the Book of Boba Fett is kind of the same thing. Just I don't know, I am not that interested in them. I don't know what it is,
dude.
You know what? Don't watch Back to the Future.
We're all different, Caleb.
No. We are, yes. But listen, don't watch Back to the Future. Now I don't want you to watch it. You don't deserve it.
Ouch! Wow. Wow.
Send Caleb your steelbook. You don't deserve it.
Hell, he'd
God,
probably
I
throw it away
forgot.
and just keep the digital code. I'm kidding. I know you wouldn't do that.
What were we even
At least
saying?
I hope you wouldn't.
We were talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, and then Rose hit us with the freaking not watching Back to the Future bomb.
Like, that was a bomb enough, but then to, like... Guys,
Yeah.
I need... You know what?
I'm just as disappointed.
I liked Sonic. Click. The show is over. I don't even remember the point I was making.
I didn't want to talk about the movie either with you guys.
We were talking about the story. God dang it, Rose. Why would you say something like that? You just say yes in those moments.
If I had you asked.
You
I wasn't
lie.
gonna lie.
Just lie, man. Just
but
lie.
What if you asked me a serious question about the movie? I wasn't.
Then you say it's been a long time. You're at the age where you could say, I watched it when I was a kid, and people would go, yeah. They'd be like, oh, you should watch it again. It was great. And you can go, oh, man, DeLoreans, man. Isn't that crazy? And then that's it.
Son of a
We're
bitch.
just...
Damn it.
Just lie. Just lie. So... I don't know where we go from here, fellas. Sonic 2, man. I'm bummed out. No, the story of Sonic 2. Oh, so the reason I brought up Back to the Future is because the first one starts with the Rube Goldberg machine, which is what happened in Sonic 2, which is the, everything happening, the mushrooms going around. So it makes this terrible, like, mushroom coffee tea thing or whatever it was. And I don't know. I loved it. I loved that I immediately thought of Rose's favorite movie, Back to the Future, and that it was Jim Carrey. And yeah, it was a good movie. I quit. All right.
If anyone actually does want to know my favorite movie, it's Ghostbusters. Just saying. I'm sure everyone knew that, but I just want to put that out there.
Oh, yeah? Tell me something about Ghostbusters. What did they use to bust ghosts? Liar.
I mean, a proton pack, but if we really want to get specific, a neutrino wand.
Okay, all right. You might have seen this movie. The story was good. Everything made sense. Like, the thing that I liked, I will inevitably get this a higher story grade than I would have given to the first movie, is that, like, this one seemed to flow a lot smoother. Even the wedding scene notwithstanding, like, it was still like a much more... The first one felt super janky, like stuff would just kind of be like, you would jerk into a scene. Like, it would just, there would be no easing into it. Where this one definitely kind of like, everything kind of paid off by the end that they brought up.
Yeah, seriously, the only thing that ruined this for me was the wedding scene. Like, when the wedding scene was happening, I'm like, dude, just get this over with. Like, I do not care about this sister and her fake husband. Like I don't need this in my life.
See, I actually like the sister. I love her as a character, but yeah, I didn't give a shit about her boyfriend or husband, whatever.
Yeah, like, get back to the people we came to see, Sonic and Tails.
Yeah, that, by the way, that's what I was thinking the whole time, as I was like, man, it sure has been a long time since I have seen an animated character in this animated character movie.
Give me some CGI, goddammit.
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't come here to see the frickin' trials and tribulations of Tom and Rebecca, or whatever the lady's name was. Like, frickin', let's go already.
You were close. It's Rachel.
Was it Rachel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Rachel and Ronald, or whatever his name was.
Randall.
Whatever. A cop name.
You're so close. You're so close.
Rachel and the cop.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, other than that, everything was awesome. Like, if you just cut that part out and do just a quick rescue scene with Tom, like, if you were just to replace the whole wedding scene with a quick rescue scene from Tom, like, I would have been perfectly happy with everything else in the movie.
Like, they're just on the beach drinking the Mai Tais, and that's when he gets the FaceTime call, and he's like, I need you, bud. And he's like, okie dokie, and throws it out into the ocean, and then there you go.
Yeah, something like that. And just, what also threw me is, how the hell did he screw up the rings.
I mean, we all knew, right? Like, as soon as he took the one ring, we're like, well, for sure, he's not going to put the right ring back. There's no way he will.
I feel I'm so bad at that kind of shit because I didn't see that.
Well, because the
So
kid
bad
came
at
up out
picking
of
up on that stuff.
the kid came up out of nowhere. She was just like, "Hello, I'm here holding this pillow with rings on it. You know, the tens of thousands of dollars worth of rings. I just have them on this pillow. I'm just walking around with them."
I was in the first movie, so they got to put me in this. They got to work me into the sequel somehow.
Listen to me. If they didn't put her in that movie, I would have walked out. You do not take the person that gave Sonic his shoes and just toss them to the side. You put that that person in the movie. You might even make her a bigger part than she was.
Dude, that's what the rescue scene should have been. It should have been Tom and her going on the rescue mission for Sonic and Tails.
Dude, when she gave him those shoes in that first movie, I was like, huh, I didn't see it coming. I was like, oh, I love this kid. Oh, this is great. This is a great scene. I don't know why these shoes wouldn't also wear out into nothing, but whatever, it's fine. They're
Yeah, seriously though.
Like, I think they eventually do. It's just he had those other pairs of shoes for so long. Like, I think that was the problem. I don't think it was he was just running through shoes like crazy, but I mean, what do I know?
I was going to say, if that's the thing we're going to dissect about these movies, then this is going to be a long podcast.
Yeah. Caleb, according to my buddy JC, when he listened to our remember when we came up with our own idea for a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog? Or Sonic and Tails. Because he actually knows quite a bit about the Sonic lore. He was just eye-rolling. He's like, oh my god, you guys don't know anything about Sonic, do you?
No.
Nope.
That's the only episode he's ever listened to.
Oh, man.
He's like, yeah, nope, not anymore. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, that was a horrible one to start off
seriously.
with. Whatever. Dude, but freaking getting into Knuckles, his intro was the shit.
It was awesome, and I was like, wait, is he going to be huge? Because when they showed him for a second coming through that ring, I was like, is he going to be people-sized? Like, what is happening right now?
I was hoping that he wasn't going to be Sonic Boom-sized.
Oof.
I hate how he looks in Sonic Boom.
Here was one thing, though, that I thought was weird about the Knuckles arc, is what happened in those 10 years between when Sonic was sent to Earth and when Knuckles became the last of his kind, because they didn't seem to be like fighting for their lives. They just seemed to be like at war. You know what I mean? Like, which I know is a stupid thing to say. Like, as I hear myself say it, I'm like, they're not fighting for their lives. They're at war, you know, when you're not fighting for your life. But what I mean is, like, it seemed more like a tribal, just a I don't know. I don't know how to, it didn't seem like a life or death thing because of how they came up on Long Nail or whatever that bird's name was, in the first one and killed her. And then all of a sudden we go from that to, I'm the last of my kind. Like, bro, what happened? Like, what kind of crazy owl, what are they called? I can't think of their species now. And
the echidnas?
Echidna. Why couldn't I say it? Yeah, was there like mass echidna slaughters just all throughout Ringland? Because what, I don't know.
I think there
like
wasn't there?
That's kind of what he made it out to seem like, that they went after Longclaw, and then after she was killed, I think it just became like a big old battle between the echidnas and owls, and the owls just freaking like decimated.
Yeah,
and so Knuckles ended up being the last one.
Yeah,
because he was wanting to fight.
But,
yeah,
but his dad held him back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because he looked to be like Sonic's age. Well, you know what I mean, like little kid whatever.
He seemed like a couple years older, though.
Yeah, just like a little bit older.
Yeah.
Or you know what it might be? It might have been that thing where like they were the same age, but like since he grew up in because he said he grew up since the day he was born, he had been trained in all forms of fighting or whatever. So maybe he was just made of hard. Well, clearly he was made of harder stuff than Sonic. So Sonic's just like, hey everybody, I'm a baby, and he's like, I will murder all of you, and I'm 5.
Yeah, but I loved Knuckles' story throughout this. Like, just having, like, this, like, naive trust in Robotnik. Because, he didn't know any better.
Dude,
like,
that was so sad by the end. When he was like, we are friends. And he was like, kak, 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 kak. I was like, oh, as soon as he said we were friends, I was like, oh, no. I'm so sorry, sir. You were not even close to that.
Yeah. I also, like, really loved how, like, the little... I don't know if they did this on purpose, probably. But just how it was with Robotnik, it was the handshake that meant like an unbreakable promise or an unbreakable bond or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And how Sonic and Tails, like, they got away from that and did like the power bump.
Yes.
Like that, I was just like, yes. Like, that's just because if they would have done like a handshake there, I'd been like, I don't know if like Knuckles would be for that.
And also, Knuckles' handshakes, super weird. That guy was just wearing boxing gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Sonic and Tails wear gloves that are unexplained.
No. It's not that he was wearing unexplained gloves. It's that he was wearing boxing gloves. Like, there were no...
The fact that he doesn't have, like, fingers, they're, like, actual, like,
True.
Gloves with horns, not horns. Spikes at the ends.
Well, and that's what's weird is like that was I know this will be technically effects. Their gloves, I felt like, were so ultra detailed, like more so than their bodies. And his gloves, it didn't look like those, those little horns on the end. They looked like they were just like they had stuffing in them.
Yeah. they look super soft.
They did.
Overall, though, I had an absolute blast with this movie, despite my movie theater being stupid as shit.
Ha.
Dude,
what happened to you? Wait, did we talk about this? No, that was
no.
Rose that had an issue last time.
Yeah, so when I went to go see this, I was the only person in the theater. And I walked in, I was just like, yes! And so I like picked my best seat, was sitting down, like the trailer started rolling, but all the lights were on. And so I was just like, okay, like whatever. Like, not a big deal. And then when the movie started, like the trailer started, I'm like, okay, it usually dims by now, but like, whatever, like, not a big deal. And then the movie started and the lights still didn't turn off, and I'm just like, shit. And I like freaking was running around the theater trying to find a light switch.
That's hilarious. Did you find it, or did you have to ask somebody?
Really? No, I ran around. I couldn't find anyone. Like, and the movie was like starting, so I missed like a good portion of the opening. Like, luckily, I made it back just in time for I made it back just in time for Knuckles.
Hilarious.
And so I was like running around.
Talking about then where it was like he had the mushroom Rube Goldberg machine just that went off for like a minute straight, and what was it?
I caught the opening of that, and then like was hauling ass trying to find someone, but couldn't find anyone, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to watch this with the lights on. So I watched the entire thing with the lights on.
Ugh.
That sounds so unsettling in a movie theater.
Yeah, it was the worst. Especially like with the dark scenes. Like I told you I'm watching this movie again with the VR big screen. It's turning all of the lights off.
Wait, can you turn on the lights in VR? That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you're getting the whole experience, you can. But
yeah, so like when you choose your seat, they have like a little switch that you can adjust next to you. Like it's awesome. But you still get like that ambient lighting from the screen, so it will like light up the theater, but like how a movie theater looks.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so good.
Well, you probably missed him. The thing you probably missed was him using the quill and like a mushroom to make some kind of crazy satellite thing where he like connected it and that like sent out the beam that that told the people to come and not rescue him. They were just like, the heck are you doing here on this mushroom land?
Yeah, I think that's the part that I missed. Because like I come back and like it looks like Robotnik's dead, and I was like, ah, damn it. But
can you imagine if they killed Jim Carrey off in the first 5 minutes?
Oh my gosh, talk
That
about
suck.
ballsy.
Yeah, that'd be straight up ballsy.
But yeah, I loved this movie and how well it flowed, how they just got the story down perfect up until the wedding scene, but then like once that was over, it was back to being like flawless.
Yeah, that was so weird. It was like we were beamed into another movie for like 15 minutes, and then they were like, all right, we're ready for the rest of the movie to go now. Come on back. And then they were back into the movie again. Like, I would love to know if there is any kind of like, yeah, this was happening during production and we had to do this because boppity bop, and I don't know. Like, it's super weird.
It almost felt like they needed to give the actors more screen time.
I mean,
like,
yeah,
we have these people to include.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, maybe some of the scenes that got cut out of the first one because they couldn't make it in for whatever reason involved them. And they were like, we're getting our time. And especially now that this is all done well, like, people are going to see our faces. Although I will say, listen, I know it, again, had nothing to do with the movie at all. But when Rachel, is that her name? Mm-hmm. She, whenever she was rolling up on him with the golf cart and then did the frickin' e-brake slide and just like stepped out of it and was like, I'm coming to get you. Like, that was amazing. It was unnecessary and I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, that scene would have been great in a different movie.
That had been set up a little more.
Jeez,
which I guess it kind of was set up that something silly was going to happen, really, if you think about it. Because the second one, they were like, we're going to Hawaii. I was like, okay. That's a very convenient time to go during this movie that you're about to be in. But okay, I guess go to Hawaii and don't be in a Sonic movie.
Yeah, well, they weren't needed. Like, I thought, like, okay, this is like the perfect instance to get them like out of the way.
Sonic, is everything okay? It's all great. I love it. Everything's fine. We're all fine here.
Yeah, I'm like that's what I thought. I'm just like, hey, we got the nice heart-to-heart talk between Tom and Sonic. Now they can just get out of the way for the rest of the movie.
What a nice riff on with great power becomes great, or with great power comes great responsibility. Like that talk will clearly not be as iconic, but that was also pretty good. And the fact that it wasn't like, my great grandpappy, they're like, nah, this is just something my dad told me and I'm telling you. And then pay it off at the end with, I got to tell you, a moment that shouldn't have been a sweet moment that almost brought a tear to my eye. But when he was like, sure thing, Dad, I was like, this is so weird. But also, he's calling him Dad.
Oh. where are you guys at with the story? Because I'm fairly high, but I am like just outside the 90 range, and it's solely because of the wedding scene.
I mean, listen, I can just tell you, mine is going to be a 90 for story, and everything, like the wedding scene probably could have brought it down further, but can I just tell you, the redemption story happened when those Chaos Emeralds went into your boy, and he turned supersonic, and I was like, this is everything that I ever could want from a Sonic movie. I got it all just now. Like, I can't believe it's happening. Because honestly, I didn't think it was going to happen. I remember thinking at the beginning, I'm like, that would be so cool if they did Supersonic. They for sure won't, but that would be awesome if they did. And then they did, and I was like, this is it. I mean, I want there to be a third movie for everyone that loves Shadow, but if they never make another one of these, I got to see Supersonic, and my childhood dreams have been achieved. So I'm giving it a 90.
That's fair. I'm not quite there. I think I'm sitting at like an 88. So just shy of a 90. Where are you at, Rose?
I'd say I'm the exact same as you, 88.
I think too, like part of the reason that I liked seeing Supersonic was the same reason I liked seeing Tails flying the biplane. I liked seeing him get to suck that air bubble underwater. Every time he would like get in trouble and drop his little pouch of rings and they would go everywhere, I was like, this is the good stuff. Like, this is the good stuff. He just like grabs him and like helicopters away with his tail. Like everything, all of that stuff was like, I mean, it was right on the line, but they hit it like just perfectly. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't too much. It wasn't like so subtle that you're like, I don't understand what's happening. Yeah, it was good. I think, yeah. Maybe that's more of a writing thing, but I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, that I was going to talk a little bit more about like Supersonic when it came to writing. It's just because it was like, but yeah, so with our scores, we average out to an 88.66 for story. But yeah, moving on over to writing. Dude, this is how or video game movies need to be done.
Yes.
It with just enough fan service for everyone to be like, "Hey, I get that reference." Like the Sonic theme song being on Tom's ringtone, or I mean, I don't. This one might be a bit of a stretch, but like Tails and like the multiple different Tails and like him being like the invincible character and Sonic,
Yeah.
like that was fun. Yeah, the underwater bubble, Supersonic, like, oh my gosh. Like, I did get a little bit confused because I thought the Master Emerald was was like one of the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, I never got super into like the lore. Like I was a big Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 guy, and once it got into the other craziness, like all of your adventures and all that stuff and Unleashed and all that, like I never really got too much into that. So I don't know if that, like, maybe that lore, because supposedly I watched like one video before we started tonight, and apparently this movie borrows like heavily from Sonic Adventures. I think they were saying Sonic Adventures and Sonic Adventures 2. So maybe that has more to do with that than the original games did. But I definitely had a point and I lost it again. I'm sorry. That's 2 times in one episode. Maybe I am not the maybe I am not the official host, the third host.
No, I get what you're saying. There, it's just taking a bunch of things from multiple different sources. Like, I mean, I considered the snowboarding scene kind of from like that Sonic Riders game.
The video I watched talked about that. I can't remember. Maybe it was Sonic Riders, but there was stuff like that, like the snowboarding, like how he had a race car bed. That was like kind of like a deeper cut because, like you said, like you thought you were mistaken before, Rose, when you were like, oh, the Sonic comics. There was an Archie run of comics where Sonic had a race car bed. Like that was his whole thing, was he had the race car bed. So that was like supposed to be a nod to that. I feel like him digging chili dogs was like the Sonic cartoon reference. Like that was it. Like we're way past cool. Gotta go fast. Chili cheese dogs. Let's go. Being a cheese dog or a chili dog. Amazing. He's not the Sonic you knew.
Dude, that was my favorite line from Knuckles. I was just about to bring that up. That was my favorite line from Knuckles. Like, he is not the Sonic you once knew. And then he freaking summons a chili cheese dog, and he's just like, okay, maybe he is the Sonic you knew. Or just the fact that, like, dude, Knuckles was such a good part of this movie.
He was great because he was
the end scene was amazing.
They're
playing baseball. Oh my god,
that was I loved that baseball scene. You know what he was? He was like, you know how people want everyone loved Drax. He was like the perfect dumb character. He was like strong and dumb, but he was like just good enough to like make it with the with everybody else. He was like a riff on Drax that wasn't like a direct like, nothing goes over my head. I'm too fast. I would catch it. But that is totally Knuckles' vibe of like him and Drax would get along famously.
Oh yeah, for sure. I loved how he was trying to have like a serious heart to heart with Sonic, and then Sonic just freaking pelts him with sand, and he's like, "You dare attack me?"
They had a lot of cool like scenes in this movie, like especially at the very end, right before he goes all supersonic, when Sonic's like, we need to work together, and they had their like crazy Avengers moment where they all like were standing on that like little hill of rubble, and they got to go in their action poses, and then they're running and the camera's in front of them, and they're like, all right, you go this way, I'll go that way. Like that whole scene was amazing. Like this was a great video game movie. Like a video game, by the way, a video game that was about nothing. It was, they were like, hey, this is clearly not a hedgehog, but what else is it going to be? It's a hedgehog. It goes fast. There's a freaking crazy guy who's trying to kill animals, I guess. I don't know, man. You're going to try and get him. And they made a really good couple of movies about this.
Dude, they did such a good job. Like, just giving me just those vibes. Like, they brought like my childhood to life. Like, I didn't play a whole lot of Sonic growing up, but just I knew who Sonic was. I knew Knuckles. I knew Tails, and I knew Shadow. Like, that was like the extent of my Sonic knowledge. But
you didn't know Blaze? What?
No, I didn't know Blaze. You keep throwing these random ass characters out at me. No, I don't.
Sorry,
no, I told you that is the extent of my Sonic knowledge.
Well,
okay, one more question. So you don't know who Silver is then?
I know who Silver is now because you've talked about him so much.
I don't know who any of them are. Like I said to my nephews, I was like, yeah, the next one they'll probably just bring in the pink one. And they knew her name. I was like...
I mean, Silver was introduced in what many people call the worst Sonic game ever made. So Unleashed? No, Sonic 06.
By the way, have either of you played? Because I've heard it's amazing. Like it's a really good sequel, I guess. They consider it Sonic 3, but it's Sonic Mania.
Is that the one with like the version like past self, or is that a different Sonic.
It
That's
looks
Sonic
like
Generations.
Yeah, no, this looks like it was made like a couple years after Sonic 2. Like it's side scroller, it's the level design, it looks a lot like, the first two Sonics did, but it was made more recently. I feel like I might be talking on my butt here, but I feel like it was somebody who like started it as some kind of, maybe not a fan project, but like something adjacent to that like picked up steam, and Sega or whoever was like, oh, we like what you're doing here, why don't we just let you make the next game, and you just can make the next. So I don't know, just throwing it out there for no reason, I guess. Actually, I take it back. The reason I mentioned it is because I didn't know how much longer the sale was going to go on. But like, I have a Switch, and like, I guess in light of the Sonic movie coming out, all the Sonic games in the eShop are on sale, but they're only on sale for one more day. So by the time this comes out, you guys can just not have that.
Don't go looking for it.
Yeah. Go just throw a heart on it. Put it on your wish list for next time it goes on sale.
There we go.
But if you wanted to, you could get Sonic Mania for $10 whenever it does go on sale.
Honestly, Caleb, the only reason I know so many Sonic characters is, I think I've already told you this, is just because I've like played every single Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Right. Is it me?
No, I think it might be me.
No.
My Wi-Fi is just being real shitty.
Well, in case anyone missed my sick joke, I said it's because he also writes fan fiction for Reddit.
How did you know?
Sonic, you're pregnant again.
What?
Dude,
Waluigi impregnated you? What?
Oh my god, it's twins!
Dude, another thing that I really liked that they did was the maze with all the booby traps.
Yeah.
And everything. It was like all the traps that you got from like the first game.
Dude, that was crazy. And when he walks in and he's like, what did he say? Like every 7 steps or 7 seconds or whatever, there's a new trap. And that like, whatever it was, like the swinging blade came, and like, I mean, was that CG or did they just do it in slow motion or something? Cause it didn't look CG, that thing that swiped in front of his face. And I can only imagine the only way they could do that is if they had done it in slow motion, like in real life slow motion.
That's a good question. It looked super good, but my money's on CG.
You're probably
It's
right.
amazing how far CGI has come.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it before. Look at their gloves. Like, I that shouldn't be the thing I paid so much attention to, but their gloves looked so real. Like you could see like the lint coming off of them, like on the I don't know. It was crazy.
Dude, I felt the same thing with Knuckles' shoes. Like the green part of the top was like so fuzzy. I'm like, okay, I'm like paying way too much attention to this shit.
Although, may I just say again, I know we need to save this for effects, but there were some times where I was like, bro, you need to put some drops in your eyes because those eyeballs are super dry.
Dude, that
you got some rocks in there, bro.
Oh, man.
All right, with writing, I think a lot of the things that they wrote into the story were really, really solid. Like just all the fan service. Like you can get more on the nose than that.
No, not without being ridiculous. Not without being like eye rolly. Like, ugh, all right, we get it. It's a Sonic movie.
Yeah, and I just love they weren't so just blatant about it. Like when Sonic was underwater, like him not being able to swim. Like that's just how he is. Like isn't that how he is in the game?
Yeah, and what's funny is like when that was happening, by the way, it didn't dawn on me. And then when he like freed Knuckles and he's like, I can't swim, I was like, oh my God, he can't swim. Like, we already paid that off, like, or this is the payoff from like the very, very, very beginning. And I'm like, oh no, he is going to die. And by the way, can I tell you, as someone who played that game a lot when I was a kid, I heard the like music that plays when you're underwater and it's like you're about to die and it's anxiety inducing. Yes. And I'm like, no, he's going to die. And thankfully Knuckles saved him.
Oh my gosh, that was I could hear that music too. Like I was getting like worked up and I was like, gosh, why am I getting so worked up just hearing the like, yeah. Yeah, like I feel like all the dialogue, like once again, I don't know how many times I'm going to say it. Once again, the only thing that I felt was like unnecessary dialogue-wise was anything in the wedding scene. After that,
honestly, I feel I didn't hate that scene as much as you guys did.
I didn't. Listen, I hated most of it. The things I liked about it, I really liked. I already told you whenever she like stepped out of the golf cart as it was sliding away, it was amazing. I loved that General Olive Garden showed back up and he was like, haha, I bet you wish you had taken those gift cards or whatever. Like, that was hilarious. I don't know why. Like, that, to me, that part was a weird throwback to like movies, things that happen in movies that used to happen in movies that absolutely do not happen anymore. Like, I feel like what happened in that span of time when there was no animated creatures lurking about is what a normal sequel would have been like, where it was just like the people you didn't care about from the first movie coming back to be like, haha, it's me, Olive Garden man. And like, one of the henchmen that, Sonic, buried a quill into his chest by accident or whatever. And those two got together to be like, we had to start Gun so that we could get this little rascal, this little hedgehog rascal. And, yeah, no, it was, I don't know. I enjoyed that guy though. I don't know why I went off on that.
I wish I would have done a double feature like you did, because I did not recognize that guy at first.
Because he was the guy that showed up right at the he showed up right at the end of the first movie, and he was like, I'm here to make a very generous offer to you two to thank you for your continued silence on the comings and goings of Mr. Robot or Dr. Robotnik. And they're like, oh, and he pulls out like it's like a $50 gift card to Olive Garden.
Yeah, it is.
Yup. Yeah, but I think I might be a little bit higher on my writing score. Like, I think I'm sitting at a 90 with this one, just because everything like flowed perfectly. Even I can let go of a lot of stuff that happened in the wedding scene, because like I said, it was a really cool sequence. It just felt really out of place for a Sonic movie, but it was cool.
Well, so, for that Sonic movie.
Yeah. So I'm giving bonus points to it for that, but I'm not going like crazy high. So I'm sitting at 90 with that one. Where are you guys at?
I'm going to go one ahead of you. I'm going to go 91. Just because, the writing was super, super solid, and I agree with you guys with the whole wedding scene. It was very unnecessary, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how else you could have incorporated the characters from the first movie into this movie without doing that wedding scene. So I'll take it.
Honestly, I don't think Gun needed to be in this at all. Like, you could have just been like National Guard, done.
Well, that could have been, I mean, clearly that's supposed to be part of the setup for Shadow showing up too, right? Because that's...
Yeah, it had to be Gun.
Fair.
Because, that's what it's called in the video games.
This is the thing. I'm giving writing a 92, 92. because again, it's not that the wedding scene was out of place. It's that like everything else was so well written for this movie that it was like, it just seemed really weird that they were like, it almost seemed like they filmed the whole movie and they were like, all right, or wrote the whole movie and they were like, all right, now how do we get from B to C, or from B to D, because we've got C to D, we've got A to B, we've got C to D, but how do we get from B to C? Because what do we do here? And they were like, everybody's a cop. All right, moving on.
Yeah. All right. Well, that averages us out to a 91. Moving on over to acting. We have Ben Schwartz, who voiced Sonic. Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who voiced Tails. Idris Elba, who voiced Knuckles. Jim Carrey, who played Dr. Robotnik. And then we have James Marsden, who played Tom Wachowski. And then Tika Sumpter, who played Maddie Wachowski.
Are we going to include her in this?
I guess not really. Like, their roles were so small. I was trying to like come up with like the big ones, but that's all.
Well, that's the thing. That we always are going to go back to the wedding scene because of that wedding scene, you almost have to include her and her sister, because like
True.
Even though they had not much to do or say, like they did get a big chunk of that movie like right before the end. So like it was just, again, just a weird place to do it. It was a weird time. Yeah. So I think you could legitimately include them, but it's not going to help. It's not going to help anything.
Yeah. Just for shits and giggles, the sister was played by Natasha Rothwell.
I like her, by the way. She is really funny.
She's hilarious. It's just she out of place.
Can I tell you? I like her better than the wife. Like I think she's like a more whatever. Are we rating the acting? What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do top 3. Like who do you think, like who was your top 3 like actors in this?
Can we do top 4, please?
Yeah, we can do top 4.
Because in no specific order, mine is Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik. Like any order you want to,
maybe in different orders.
Yeah,
I was gonna say whatever order you want to put that in, I'm fine. Like as long as those 4 are the top 4, that's as far as I'm concerned, nobody else was in this movie.
Fair enough.
Yeah. That's pretty much my top 4 as well, but I would order it just so everyone is aware, my margins are really, really close. So before anyone tries getting butthurt about my order, my number 4 I'm giving to Tails.
Ouch.
My 3 I'm giving to Sonic. 2 Knuckles, 1 Robotnik.
Yeah, I mean, Rose, do you have an order?
Oh yeah, I think mine's different, and you guys might hate me for this. 4 is Eggman, 3 is Sonic, 2 is Tails, and then 1 is Knuckles.
Wow.
I know, right?
So I would say that like if I did have to order them, only if we're taking both movies into account, which we're not, I would put Robotnik at number 1. But to me, it is a fight for 3 and 4 between him and Knuckles. And then Sonic would be 1 and Tails would be 2. And only because like I honestly, can I tell you, I don't think that Jim Carrey had enough time in this movie. Like, honestly, I wish that the whole wedding scene had been some scene with him and Stone, because he was so good in the first movie that I was like, God, please let us just see more of him. If they just doubled his time, that would have been great. But I feel like a lot of the stuff with him was like not wasted, because clearly it was awesome to see him as big, Mecha Robotnik. But there was a lot of like, I am the great and powerful Oz, and now we're going to go over here, and I'm going to lightning bolt you. I'm like, no, give me the one-liners. Give me this guy, like, being the most arrogant person in the room, punching people in the throat, doing weird stuff. Like, he was amazing. And that's the only reason why I would put him that low. But then, like, Knuckles, I feel like didn't have a lot to say. Like, but here's what's crazy, is that those 3 animated characters are easily in the top 4, and James Marsden and the gang they're like such a distant 5th place and beyond that, like, I was telling Caleb before you came on, Rose, like, it was like there were 2 movies happening. There were the actors that were acting over here, and then there were the other people that got to be in the movie because they were in the first one that nobody believed in.
Hey, yeah.
But it was crazy to see.
That.
It was crazy to see animated characters acting better than people. So I don't know, man. Like, I like James Marsden. I don't really know that lady, the one that played his wife or her sister. James Marsden I like a lot, but like when you're in a movie with Jim Carrey, you can't just be like, "Hey guys, I just wanted to have a tough conversation about being the Blue Justice." You can't always go out and act crazy. Sometimes you gotta be patient, Like, you can't be that guy in a Jim Carrey movie where he is being like Ace Ventura, Cable Guy, frickin' all of them all at once to play the frickin' Mr. Robotnik. You can't. I don't know how you're in that movie and and anyone cares who you are. Did I say my rating? 92.
For acting?
Oh, wow.
For acting, or wait, did I say is that what I said for acting? No,
you said 92 for writing.
What would I say for acting? I would still say, I'll say a 90. I'll say a 90. Only because, like, the movie wasn't about James Marsden and his wife and, those people, even though there was that chunk that was, like, it, for the most part, was about those. I mean, listen, I would sell everyone into the circus if I could just see the freaking dance-off scene again. If that was the only scene I could watch, I would watch that scene every time.
Dude, I thought that, like, when I, like, figured out that they were going to be doing, like, a dance-off, I'm like, this is going to be funky, but it ended up being one of my favorite scenes. It's like, this is awesome.
And so I feel we'll probably get more into it with music, but did you guys like the song choice, Uptown Funk, or would you have preferred a different song?
I think it worked.
Yeah, I think Bruno Mars is like the if you like need the hip hop version of Imagine Dragons, you just put in a Bruno Mars song. And you're like, yeah, that's a hip hop commercial song. We'll just put that in. So I think that fit perfectly for this movie.
Yeah,
I would agree.
We'll get into it, but I feel there were some other interesting soundtrack choices that happened. But like I said, we'll get into it.
I'm very interested to hear what Caleb found interesting.
But getting back to acting, I might actually be a little bit higher than you, DJ. I think I'm like maybe at a 92. Like I love, like, it's so hard for me to want to include like Tom and all of them because they were just such a small part.
Yes.
It's just like they were in. All I can say is like they were in there. But like once you get back to like the story that we came to see, like it was amazing. Like freaking Ben Schwartz is able to hit the emotional notes super well. The comedic, like his comedic timing is perfect. Like there's nothing that he's been in that I've not liked, or at least not liked him.
Is he the guy that normally
Rise of TMNT?
Is he the guy that normally voices Sonic? Because I know the lady or whatever, she's the one that does the voice of Tails, right?
Yeah, no, he's never voiced Sonic before.
That guy, okay, well, I do have to reset a little bit then, because thinking about him, and even though it was a smaller part, I would even say Agent Stone had like I don't know, like I liked him in that as well, even though again not even as big a part as Tom and the gang. But I think I might match you. I think I might come up and match you on a 92.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job.
Does he do voice acting normally? Because again, like that is actually even more impressive.
He voices Dewey in DuckTales.
Really? Let's see.
Yeah, I've actually been watching the new DuckTales, and gotta say it's pretty good.
Yeah, by the way, the newer Disney shows, like what is happening? Like the Mickey Mouse stuff, the DuckTales, all that, the Chip and Dale, like it's actually really good, like shockingly good.
Yeah, like when I need a family appropriate show to watch and I'm like not wanting to watch Cocomelon or anything else like that, I'm like, hey, you want to watch DuckTales? And she's like, okay.
Huh. No, I guess he has done a lot of voiceover work. Not a lot of stuff I would recognize right off the bat, but yeah, no, he did really well. Like I was completely sold on Sonic all the way.
Yeah. For me, now he is the voice of Sonic.
For sure.
Where are you at, Rose?
Honestly, I'm gonna match you guys, a 92. I have to give so much credit to Idris Elba as Knuckles, because for the longest time, I feel Knuckles has just become a joke. He's not as he was when he was first introduced. And I feel choosing Idris Elba as the voice of him brought him back to his roots and how he is as a character. And oh my god, I loved him so much as Knuckles. So for him alone, and also, don't get me wrong, I loved Ben Schwartz as Sonic. He was great. But also, I have to give it to the actress who plays Tails, because I'm so grateful that they brought her back to play Tails, because I know they got two stars to play Sonic and Knuckles, but I'm sorry, no one else can do, as far as right now, can do the voice of Tails besides her. It would just sound too weird having like a big name actor doing Tails. It would just sound too weird. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's a big name voice actor, don't get me wrong. But like, say like they brought in like Kristen Bell, or like Megan, oh god, don't get me wrong. Don't get me started like Megan Fox.
Listen, don't get it twisted. There was the guy that does the voice of Ren and Stimpy and all the voices on Futurama. I can't think of his name. Billy West. He did him, and the guy that does Bender, John DiMaggio. They did, or is that his name? John? Doesn't matter. You know who I'm talking about. They did a documentary like a long time ago about voice actors. And they basically, one of the things they talked about in that movie was like basically how stupid it is that they're getting big name actors to come in and basically take their jobs away, because they're like, this is our livelihood, this is what we spend, we've spent time honing this craft of like doing these voices, because like with guys like Billy West, and I'm sure the lady that does Tails as well, like they don't just do that voice or like maybe one or two other voices on one or two other video games. They usually have like a catalog of like hundreds of voices that they can do, or like iconic characters that you would never think of like attaching to this person. So yeah, no, I totally agree with, keeping actual voice actors doing the work and not just, we'll get Will Smith to come in here and be a fish. Like, no one even knows what that stupid movie is now anyway. Like, why couldn't you have given Billy West or whoever that money to come in and do that?
Why you gotta put that movie back into my head?
I don't even know the name of it. How about that?
Shark Tale.
There you go.
It's dumb. Like,
it's dumb.
Or even the
God,
one that
I enjoy watching it
with animated movies, like seeing like a big actor's name on an animated movie isn't a selling point for me.
No,
looking
but
at you, Mario.
Yeah.
Well, Mario, look at the one right before, not right before it, but look at it was the Will Smith and Tom Holland joint where he turned into a pigeon. And that movie was
Oh, yeah.
a big fat nothing.
Movie was really dumb.
But that's the thing. Like, at least, like, okay, it was dumb, but those two freaking idiots got paid off of that. Like, why couldn't that have, if that movie was going to be what it was anyway, like, why not give people that are actual voice actors, not people that are actors acting in movies normally?
Yeah, absolutely agree.
They're better at it. They're honing that particular skill that, like, normal live action actors just don't do. Like,
yeah, no, and that, by the way, that's why I'm like super impressed with Ben Schwartz, because that is like that seems like some seasoned voice actor stuff that he was doing in that. So I don't know, I really appreciate that, and even Idris Elba, like, you know, clearly it's I don't think he is suffering for another paycheck, but I don't know. I guess it sucks because I like him, so I'm like, it's fine that he's in there. But I'm sure somebody else could have had that.
We're supposedly getting a series on Paramount about Knuckles.
Okay, whoa! Let me ask you guys something. Do you guys are you fans of the Halo video game series, and have you watched any of the Halo Paramount Plus nonsense?
I am a fan of Halo. I have not played it in a really long time, but I am wanting to watch the Halo series. I just have not gotten around to it yet.
So I won't spoil anything for either of you if you care, but it's like, apparently this show is not even in canon at all, and they lean into that fact like real fast. So that's all I'll say about it. I don't know, man. Like, I'm always weird about TV shows, and especially like, I'm sure Paramount Plus is like really like pushing the envelope to be like, we are the next streaming service. We had Jackass Forever. We have something else, I'm sure, but we're definitely a contender. We are not going to be the next, you know, what was that one that was here for like a second? I don't know. There have been so many streaming services that have come and gone. They're so convinced to not be that I don't know. I don't think we need a Knuckles TV show.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see more Knuckles, so I'm like, I'll take it, but
I mean, he's been my favorite Sonic character since I was a kid, so I will gladly take it.
Yeah.
I only want to see
my
it.
favorite until it was introduced to Shadow.
By the
Fair
way,
enough.
there was to me, the craziest thing in the movie was when they were fighting and they had just like a split second scene of like them like clashed up against each other. And it was just like the game again. Like, it was like seeing those two clash up and you're like, it's happening. But listen, unless the show shows Knuckles at war and, you know, defending the last of the echidnas or whatever they're called. And, yeah, no, I want to see the 10-year battle that brought him to the frickin' hardened, crazy person that he is today.
Dude, me too.
So if they show that, I'm in.
Fair enough.
All right, next up we got character development, which I think we can obviously say is Sonic.
I was doing Tom, but I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So
yeah, he was where he lived, and then he was somewhere else, and then he went back again. You know, you always start where you came from.
A perfect arc. That's what it was.
So this is where the first movie suffered a little bit, but I think this one did way better at giving Sonic a good arc.
Yes.
Like, just being that not really super responsible child who wants to be a vigilante, and making him someone who's like fulfilling what his destiny is meant to be, and like understanding that, oh, this is what my power is for, and I'm going to use it for this purpose, and like fulfilling that, and like still keeping his like childhood or childlike wonder, or I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, just his childlike wonder. Yeah, because he starts as being like, I need to get out there and help everybody, and it, be damned what happens. I don't care if I ruin this city block. To, he has made some growth. You can tell that by the end. He calls him dad. He knows how to like to mess with Knuckles now. Like, I don't know. He seems like he seems more mature. You know what I mean? Like, again, it sounds so weird saying this about a blue hedgehog, but he seems more, he seems more mature, but like how a kid would mature. You know what I mean? Like, clearly he's still going to be a freaking little goon. But he's like, I kind of understand a little bit of the world better now. That I've turned into a hedgehog god for a moment. I was a god, and that was okay. I just want to be a kid.
Yeah. Like, again, it wasn't like some crazy, like, inspiring character arc, but it was a lot better than the first movie.
Yeah, the first movie, again, so like herky-jerky, just kind of like everything was ging, 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 and it led up to whatever, and you're like, all right, well, we made it. We know what it took to get here, so it's fine. We'll put up with this. I will say all of their, like, Tails had no arc, I don't think. If he did, it was, I will say of all of them, it was super slow. It was like the slowest burn of an arc, and Tails was probably the slowest because it was, I guess he kind of had an arc, but it was, again, it was like moved like a glacier. And only seconded by Knuckles, and then Sonic. Again, he did have that. It was more of like a right before the sun sets, when you can still see that little beep just right above the horizon. You're like, there it is. I see it. And everybody else was like, we kind of have an arc, but you can't. It's past the horizon.
Yeah. I think for character development, I'm around maybe 85-ish. Like, I think it was definitely better than the first, but just still not quite up there. But it was all right. Maybe 85's high. I think I'm going to go like 82. Yeah, I'm going to go 82. Rose, where are you at?
I'm gonna match you. I'm gonna go in 82. I really don't have anything else to say.
God dang it!
I'm sorry.
I am freaking copycat Jones too. I knew I should have said it first. Because I'm gonna go 82 as well. Because I'm like, it's funny because you almost had me convinced with 85, and then you were like, 82, and yeah, 82 sounds right. I think that does sound right. And even 82 might even be just a pinch high. But I like this movie. I want to see it get at least a C+, so I'm sticking with 82.
Just for shits and giggles, because you've seen the first one, where do you, and because you haven't like listened to our first Sonic the Hedgehog episode, where do you think we put the character development for the first one? Like, if you had
it had to have been an almost non-existent, right? Like, it had to have been in like the 60s, because there was like literally Tom's character did not develop. it like purposely the story was like, no, you will not develop. You are going to have all these big dreams and aspirations, and oops, a little blue child has been dumped upon your lap, and you're not going anywhere or doing anything. And Sonic was like, again, it was like he had it wasn't an arc so much as it was like a cartoon lightning bolt where it just was like, ging, 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 ging. And it just kind of went to where it ended. So character development, it had to have been in like the 60s, right? There's no way.
We were actually a little bit higher.
What?
Yeah, it wasn't by much. It wasn't by much. So we were actually at a 75 for the first movie.
That's not, I mean, listen, here's the thing. Like, the thing that both of these movies, the second one does better than the first, but the first one does really well considering what it was, is make you go, yeah, but look at how good this movie is. You know what I mean? Like, again, like as much as like we've harped on the wedding scene, like, I mean, it only sticks out because it's such a good movie, and it's crazy to think like the first movie was in such like developmental hell because of what they tried to pass off for Sonic at first, because what we really learned was that like the movie that was there wasn't bad. Like, it was never going to be a bad movie. It just didn't look like anyone thought it should look. So I can't, and again, with what had to happen to that movie to chop and screw it into what it ended up being, I don't think 75 is, I don't think that's outrageous. I mean, looking back with hindsight, you would be like, yeah, there was no real development there, but like, with that being what it was, and especially not knowing, I would imagine at the time, well, I don't know if you knew at the time if there was even going to be a second one. So if you're like, well, if this is it, like, this is not bad.
Yeah, like at the time, like when we did the episode, there was no talks of a sequel. Like, absolutely none.
So there you go. I think 75 is right on the mark.
Well, actually, wait, no, there was technically because of that end credit scene with Tails.
But you know how they do sometimes, where like a studio will set up something, and they're like, because you almost feel like that's why they show, instead of just showing like, you know, two Tails or like Tails' shoes or something, they're like, we're going to show the entirety of Tails so that just in case there's no more movie, you got to see Tails. Hey.
Fair enough.
And I feel like that's why they did that with Shadow too, because they were still like, listen, we still don't have enough street cred to just show you like his boot or something. Like, we have to show you his entire face so you know who this is.
I mean, the nice thing though is that Paramount greenlit Sonic 3 before this movie even came out.
Nice.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about that one with you too, so
they can only screw it up from here. Like, it's theirs to ruin now. Like, it's just,
that's true.
They're where they need to be. So good luck, fellas. Good.
See you in 2 years.
Hopefully.
All right, well, our score averaged out to an 82 for character development. Moving on over to effects, which there was a significant amount in this one. First off, I think there was some horrendous green screen in this occasionally with Robotnik. And I don't know if it's just because it was super noticeable because it was really bright in my theater. Or...
Yeah, I don't think I noticed that, honestly.
Damn, I needed to see this in the dark. It was so noticeable with how bright it was.
I mean, listen, my nephew, I didn't notice, because I never notice green screen stuff. Like, when people are like, oh, it's obviously green screen, I'm like, I am too stupid. I don't know what that looks like. And one of the things that he noticed, though, was like, you know, when they were, I think it was right after the dance off, they fell asleep, like Tails fell asleep in front of the fire, and Sonic put a blanket over him, and then when he went to go to sleep next to him, Tails like stuck his tails out and covered Sonic with it. apparently, like, I didn't see this. My nephew was like, there was a lot of clipping and like weird stuff going on there that like, I don't know how that made it into the movie, but okay. And I was like, I didn't see any of that. So kudos to you for catching it. But also, I don't know. I guess I just don't know what I'm looking for. So I thought the effects were good.
Because I didn't see that either.
It's so hard with things like that with green screen or clipping, because if you were, or just like to see that kind of stuff, because if you were to pause it and look at it like an image, it looks fine. It's just when it's in motion that it starts looking funky. And
Are you talking about when you say green screen stuff for Robotnik? Were you talking about at the end when he went Neo and had like his little vocoder voice and was being all, you know, weird and lightning bolty?
No. The scene that stood out to me the most was when it was him and Knuckles when they were trying to steal the compass from Sonic. When he was kind of floating around the mountains and everything, like it just looked not great. Or like when he was in his little So
yeah,
well, I guess I'll have to watch it again.
Honestly, it probably just stood out to me. Like if you guys didn't see it, because Rose usually sees that stuff. So if he didn't see it, I'm willing to bet it was just because it was super bright in my theater.
Why does this all look fake and like there's light reflecting off of it from the wrong places?
Yeah, so damn. Yeah, other than that minor complaint, which might not even technically be a complaint. The only other thing that I really noticed was what you pointed out earlier, DJ, with their eyes being like ridiculously dry and not having any sort of like glossy look to them.
What's crazy is if you look at Sonic's nose, it looks like a wet dog nose. Like, so clearly they thought enough to be like, well, he's got a nose, so it's exposed like an animal would, so why wouldn't we make it like a little moist on there? But nobody was like, give this dude some Visine or something. Like, just freaking throw a bit of gloss onto it. I mean, I say that, and I mean, we all know that, you know, saying and doing are two completely different things when it comes to stuff like that. But god dang, dude, like get those freaking rocks out of that dude's eyeballs.
Yeah. Besides that, I mean, did you guys notice anything else? Like, I feel like I noticed some shit, but obviously I don't feel like my opinion can be trusted.
No, I liked it. I liked it all. Like, I thought it looked amazing. I thought the hair looked great. Like, I mean, I don't know. They'll never be able to make those things look like they're real. So
that's fair.
You know what I mean? But it's never. I don't know that it can look much better than that. The degrees between where it looks now and where it would be looking better are so small that you're like, it's fine. Like, it's always going to be passable from now on. So I don't know. And again, the gloves, like you were saying too, Rose, the shoes, like that's what was wild to me, is like how like far and away good those were. Like almost like they like put gloves on a stick and we're like, we'll just animate around these gloves. Like, it was nuts to me that they looked that good. Am I crazy? You guys are laughing, but
no,
did it not look that
really
good?
Oh yeah, it really did.
Yeah,
I'm just laughing for how much detail they put into those gloves.
They did. They put so much, and like even when I mean, hell, when like they put a lot of detail into Sonic and Knuckles when they were wet.
Yes. And they were, by the way, that was one thing I really appreciated about what they did, is they made them like wet and dirty a lot. that wasn't like a thing that they're like, we're going to try and see if this works. And just so you know that like, fine, they got dirt on him, whatever. Like Sonic was like, always had something on him. Like he always had some dirt, or he always had some frickin', he was in at the beginning, he's like, you know, doing his hair, or like in the frickin' soap tub or whatever with all the bubbles and stuff everywhere. Like they really didn't try and like, you know, do that thing that some some animation does, which is like try and hide all of the sins in the shadows. And they're like, we'll just make it dark everywhere. And they're like, nope, we're gonna put him out on the beach with dirt all over him, and we're gonna see how that looks.
Yeah, they did a great job with that. And I mean, I was even impressed with the Robotnik robot.
Oh yeah, so good.
Dude, that couldn't have looked more perfect.
Dude, the big mecha one, the when he ended up riding around in the little round job, like from the video game, I was like, this is freaking crazy. And he did the mustache, he did the glasses, everything. I could not. It was I can't believe this movie. Like these two movies should not have been good. Like on paper, they're not good. And you're like, you see Jim Carrey on it, and you're like, oh, so these are Jim Carrey's last two movies that he did before he, did the one last cash grab, and then he just frickin' boogied out and never came back again. But instead, you're like, no, these are good movies.
Yeah, they're amazing. Like especially the second one. Like you said, like the first one, it's understandable when you understand like the history and like what happened behind the scenes and like why the movie is the way it is, and you can almost forgive it for that. This one was just, hey, like we don't have to worry about character design anymore. We just need to freaking just like now we can focus on the story and like the effects and the things that like actually matter. And then they released like a great product, and the effects were just killer in this. So I'm not going to dock too much because apparently my green screen in the light opinion cannot be trusted. Shit, I think I'm in the high 90s for this one.
Can I give mine first so I don't have to be copycat Jones and say 95? Haha, I did it anyway.
Are you at 95?
Yes.
What about you, Rose?
I'm gonna go slightly lower, 93.
Hell, I'll meet you guys in the middle at 94.
There you go.
All right, bam.
Which will average us out to a 94.
All right, I like it.
All right, next up we got music. So this one is out of 10.
Yeah, I was going to say, so besides Uptown Funk, gonna give it to you. Like, name any other tune besides the Sonic theme ringtone that was in this. Like, I didn't notice the music at all. Like, at all.
There's one, and I loved it so much when we first see Sonic about to, take on the armed robbery. They start playing "It's Tricky" by Run DMC, and I started smiling. I'm like, okay, you know what? I like this song choice.
That was the other thing they did well. Like how the same way they did like a riff on Drax without doing like this is Drax for what's his face, Knuckles. Like they did again the thing of like the super speed thing like they did in the first movie that wasn't just a why can't I think of his name? The frickin' Maximoff kid. What's his name from X-Men or the Marvel movies? Yes. They didn't just do another Quicksilver, like, slow, like, hello, darkness, my old friend. And he's freaking, you know what I mean? Like it was a riff on that, but it wasn't like a direct carbon copy where you immediately thought of that. It was just another guy that goes super fast that did it in a cool way.
Yeah,
and I agree. That song went great with that.
Honestly, like the song choices were on point. I think my only problems were some of the music did not fit super well with the scene, and I don't know the name of the songs that well. I mean, I could point them out, but it's just, there were some where I was just like, this is kind of an odd choice for a song or at this particular moment, but whatever, like it's a catchy tune. So I mean, I'm fairly high. I think I might be like a really soft 9. Like a really soft 9.
Yeah, I
That's
think
actually
I was.
higher than-
Then you were gonna go.
I
No,
can
no,
be
go ahead.
talked down to an 8 easily if you guys
That's
want.
I mean,
So
I don't know. I'm at like a high 8. That's just me.
Yeah, I was middle of the road 8, so I.
Okay, I mean, I'm fine doing 8s. I mean, we round down anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's that thing of like, it's weird because I've said it before on the show and it doesn't make sense, but I don't know why I feel this way. Music to me is kind of like editing. Like you almost, unless it's important for some reason, like you almost shouldn't really notice it's there anyway. So it's really hard for me to grade it. Like it would be like, to me, it would be like grading editing. Like if you don't notice it, I mean, it's clearly 100. But if you do notice it, it's got to be a 0 because you're like, you shouldn't notice it. And I don't think music's the same. I don't think that's a 1-for-1 comparison, but I feel like a lot of times that's kind of like, it is setting the mood, but I mean, you're like watching the actors. You're trying to find out like what the next thing is. Maybe it's going to bring up tension. Maybe it's going to make you feel emotional, whatever it is. But like, ultimately, you're not going to be like, I remembered that swell of violins right as he said, no, don't go. And then I started weeping. Like, no, you're going to remember the guy who said, no, don't go. Like Ryan Gosling really acted his face off. He really went to the secret garden or whatever he did. So I don't know. Music always throws me off when grading anything, unless it's a musical, I guess.
Our average, like if we think that a soundtrack is just like your basic run of the mill soundtrack, like hey, this music worked for the scene that it was in, we usually sit around a 6. If the scores like really impressed us, but nothing was like too like memorable, we're about a 7. Things that are a little bit more memorable were around an 8. Ones that just kind of like, oh, this was great, like this was a great soundtrack, were like at a 9. And then for me, when for 10, it's like, okay, like great soundtrack plus you had a catchy ass song that stuck in my head.
Well, it's almost got to be like an original score, like all the way through, that's super memorable. I'd feel like to be a 10, because it's funny. I was just talking about this the other day. I've started playing Animal Crossing, and that theme song is like stuck in my head forever now. It'll never go away. And I was thinking about how crazy that is, that like some person just made that theme and was like, what do you guys think about this? And they were like, yeah, we like this a lot. And now that's a song that I will never not hear. It'll haunt my dreams forever. And like it's I don't know, like that's a wild thing to be able to do. So I would imagine that would be like the thing that you would have to do to get a 10 of make something. Hey, don't flick me off.
Sorry about that. I did not mean to do that.
I'm just kidding. that was a visual joke for all of you listening. Rose just flipped me off double birds and said he didn't mean to. I don't know why.
Yeah, like comparing this to like other movies, like other like movies that have gotten a 10 before, is like Rocket Man, Rise of Skywalker got a 10, and that's just because John Williams. Last Jedi got a 10. The Greatest Showman.
By the way, that was going to be my examples. Is like it's got to be like musicals or John Williams scores. Like,
Psycho got a music 10.
Yeah, but see, and that's the thing. Like, how do you make a song like outside of a Star Wars? Like, what really are like some just iconic themes? Like, Psycho is one of them. Like, you can never not hear Halloween. Like, that's the thing. Like, but what really in recent memory has been like super iconic that has just immediately gripped. Because listen, you could just say it's a person, Lin-Manuel Miranda, because he makes songs that people like grab onto and won't let go of for like years at a time, but they do end up going away.
That was the last thing that we gave a 10 to, was Encanto.
Yeah, and by the way, rightfully so. Like that was a great musical movie. Like in all like original songs. That guy, old Spanish man. You know who I'm talking about. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Go on.
Yeah. So that's just kind of how we view the music score, because it can also be audio. Like like when it comes to horror movies, it's like the use of silences or just the build up, or like the way that they try and get to like scare you. Like I feel like in the right instance, I feel like a scary movie could score a 10 if they used silences in like a really effective way.
I agree.
Still mad Caleb wouldn't let me give Halloween a 10.
You can do whatever you want. I gave The Matrix 100.
I think I did give it a 10.
Yeah, but we round down.
You should have given it a 10. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying you probably should have fought harder for it.
But here's what's crazy. Like to what you said earlier about Rose, about liking the sequel trilogy better, or that's like your top trilogy. Like that is actually why I like The Mandalorian as much as I did, because I grew up and my favorite is the original trilogy. And in the first episode of The Mandalorian, within the first 5 seconds, I was like, this sounds like Star Wars. Like, this sounds like everything that I've ever known of Star Wars, and it's crazy that it's not. It's not like it's something different and new that's happening, but it sounds like everything I remember Star Wars being. And the sequel trilogy was not that. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in like, it was supposed to be like, it wasn't supposed to be what we all grew up with the prequels and the originals. It was supposed to be like the next step in that. So no, I mean, I get it when it comes to audio, but it's just funny because that it was audio that immediately made The Mandalorian would have had to try and be terrible, but like just with how it sounded. And I don't just mean the music either. I just mean like even the sound effects, like them going through Tatooine and, you know, just hearing familiar sounds. It was so strange that it sounded like familiar. So anyway, I still give this movie an 8 for music.
All right. Like music and costumes, we kind of have to be a little bit more like,
lax.
No, not that. What's it?
Strict.
Not strict. Like when we all agree, unanimous.
Ah,
there we go.
Yeah,
that's the word. Yeah.
We have to be a little bit more unanimous on.
So Jim Carrey makes this about a 10 then, right? Because he carries the movie wardrobe-wise for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. That Eggman outfit. Ooh.
Dude, that could not have been more perfect. But we also do include with animated characters, we do include like their character design as
Can I
like
tell you,
costumes.
I would still give all of this. I guess I technically have to give it a 9 because, you know, Tom and the gang exist. But they.
Damn it.
I could be talked up to a 10. I'll tell you that. Like,
There's such a small part of this. I don't count them. And like,
Then 10,
like my
yeah.
whole thing with costumes,
Yeah,
my
same,
whole
10.
thing with costumes is, I've said it a billion times. It feels like if you have a good silhouette, like that equals good costume for me.
yes.
And the way that that Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails were standing on that little rock
That, like,
pile,
heap, the rubble heap or whatever, yeah.
yeah, that was the silhouette.
Yes.
Like that.
Like, it was
for
almost
me.
sad
Like,
that they couldn't use that in the trailer. Like, I get it, but
Yeah.
like that would have been like the thing to show in the trailer, I feel like.
yeah.
Fair enough.
So like, yeah, that was just. I'm like, yeah, and then yeah, freaking Robotnik's outfits were just perfection. The only one I had a problem with was when he like absorbed the emerald. I think that
and became Neo for a minute.
yeah. My only problem with that one was I'm like, okay, I think you should have just had him wearing his red and black suit. Just change all the red to green. Like if that was what you were going for. It just,
Is that not what they did? I thought that's
No,
exactly what
like,
happened.
So he had like the weird squares like on his chest. And when he changed into like the emerald form, it became like a flat black like trench coat with like the green highlights.
Yeah, I thought, yeah. I guess I don't remember what I don't know. I thought it was like a stripe, right? Like, wasn't it like almost like outlining like his chest, like a green stripe? And I thought whenever he went back, like whenever they knocked it out of him, it turned red again. I swear it was the same. I'm sure you're going to see it and be like, yeah, this was two totally different people. I don't even know why you would say that. By the way, there was a part while you're looking for that. There was a part near the beginning. I think it was right after they blasted through Sonic's house, him and Knuckles, and Robotnik or Jim Carrey got thrown and like did his little pratfall to the ground, and like you could tell there was one part where you could tell so bad it was a stunt double that had like taken the fall and looked up and like did the little like fist shake of "you get back here, Sonic" or whatever he said. But I don't know. I thought that was hilarious.
I think I noticed that.
I always look for whenever any actor, I can't stop doing it now. Whenever any actor is not, whenever you can see them, but you can't see their face, like, just because I know that, like, I've heard so many stories of like, oh, you know, they got the stand-in do the parts where they're not looking at their face. Like, whenever you don't have to see their face, they usually have their stand-in do that stuff. So I'm always looking to see like, oh, is this right? Are they standing the same way? Are they the same height? Or is it the same, like, whatever? I don't know. It's stupid. I'm like trying to break my own
that's not stupid.
reality of it, but
Okay,
like,
I immediately take back what I said. It is
That-
the exact same outfit.
okay. I was like, wow, I've gone insane.
It is. It's just he has like it's kind of like his shoulders are red
Mhm.
and his sleeves are red, and then he has like the highlights of black. But they changed all the lining to be green, and then just changed all the red to be black as well. So you don't see like the sharp lines as much.
Gotcha.
But yeah, going like back and forth between the two, it is very obvious it's the same jacket. So I immediately take that back.
Sorry.
Yeah, but still, like, great costume. So
yeah, no, it still looked amazing. Everything that was on that dude looked amazing, from when he was on the Mushroom Planet to when he was getting toppled over in Mechagodzilla.
So, I mean, is everyone in agreement with 10?
For sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, last up we got our own personal score. So, who wants to go first with that one?
I feel like Rose wants to go first. I saw his mouth
Sure.
open.
I'd be happy to. Overall, oh my god, this was an amazing sequel. Like I said before, this is how you do a sequel to a surprisingly hit first movie. You bring in this much fan service and you actually pay it off. You don't cram it all in and like not make it make sense. Just everything was great. Every character had really good screen time. I hardly have any problems with this sequel. It was just so freaking good. So, you know, I'm gonna go in 89.
Alrighty.
Do you want me to go next, or do you want to go, Caleb?
I can go. I am going to be at a 92. I had an absolute blast with this movie, even though I had some major seeing issues with it. I was so glad that I was alone, because I was geeking out hard. Like I was cheering and just like, yes, like out loud, which I feel like I never do. And when I watch movies, at least in public. So feeling like I could do that just gave me like a better sense of like, I can just sit back, relax, and enjoy this. And it was just a blast seeing these characters from my childhood do the things that I've always imagined that they would do. It was just nostalgia at its best, and all the little fan servicey things that they did with Gold Sonic, with Shadow, with everything that they did that was just fan service was just pure perfection. And I loved every second of this movie. Well, most seconds of this movie.
I was going to be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, if you were scratched maybe like the 15-20 minute thing that we've talked about, this would be a damn near perfect movie for me.
Seriously, take that out and it doesn't have to be a 2-hour movie.
True that.
Yeah.
Like I see myself like when this comes out, like just skipping over that part.
Which is understandable, you know?
Yeah. So like I said, sitting at a 92.
So I am going to give this movie a 95 because I really liked it a lot. Like, this is a movie that, like I said before, like there was nothing to the game, like, as far as I was concerned, with what I grew up with, and these characters that were in it, like, there was just, like, Knuckles was in it, Tails was in it, Sonic was the star, and they ran left and right, they did loop-de-loops every once in a while, like, it was crazy. So there was no idea of having, like, a story to this movie, or for this movie, and the fact that there was anything was kind of, I don't know. It was better than we deserved for a Sonic movie, considering the caliber of video game movies that have come out before it. Because we just have been getting just trash, really. Like, and it's not necessarily anybody's fault other than the people that just want all the monies. Because they're like, well, people seem to like this, so let's just do this cash grab thing. And even though this was probably that too, it seems like we're getting luckier with people that actually like care and grew up with these properties that are like doing something with them. it's funny because I joked about you doing Sonic fan fiction, but this might have just been somebody's like fan fiction that came to life. And they were just like, what if Sonic lived with me and I got him pregnant? We'll leave that part out.
Oh, shit.
I don't know. This was just really good. Like I feel the same way about these two movies as I felt about Detective Pikachu, because even though Pokemon like has this like, you know, rich background of the show and the movies and all that stuff, like I really thought that a live action version of it was going to be hot garbage trash. And it was like that movie really like surpassed my expectations. And I feel kind of the same way about this one, as I really, even with the redo of making him look better, I was like, well, this movie's still going to be terrible. Like there's going to be no redeeming qualities. And there were a lot of redeeming qualities. It was a very good, like, this is a really good movie. And like you said, Rose, amazing sequel. It shouldn't have been this good for a sequel, let alone a video game movie. So yeah, good. 95. I stand by that.
Can I change my score, actually? Like, I feel left out. You guys really talked it up. I'm going to go with 91, actually. Yeah, 91 for me.
91?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that averages us out to a 92.66% for our personal score. And with that, that concludes this week's breakdown. So the final All Bros and Untrained Eye letter grade for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has come to A minus.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Oh, it was so close. So it is sitting at a 90.66%. That is
wow.
So close to not making it, but I'm so glad it did.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, this I was hoping this would at least get like a C+. So A- is amazing.
Yeah. All right. So, sitting at a 90.66%, that puts it below Promising Young Woman, which was at a 90.75. It's below Tusk, which is at a 90.79. It is below Turning Red, which is at a 90.87. It is below the Untrained Eye / Crash and Taz score for Spider-Man Far From Home.
What's up, Vic?
Which you guys had it at a 90.93%.
Oopsie.
And then it is finally below How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, which is at a 91%.
I gotta watch those movies. Everyone says those movies are amazing. I've not seen a one of those Training Your Dragon movies.
Oh, dude, do yourself a favor, please.
Yeah,
so
they're pretty good. All right, going the other direction. This puts...
Here we go.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is above Little Women, which is at a 90.61.
Wow.
It is above 1917, which is at a 90.37.
I mean, listen, you got to think of it this way, Rose. You're looking at a real bum. I've never seen 1917. I know it's a war movie. Probably a bummer.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you also got to think, it's only a 0.3% difference.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not mad. Like, honestly, I can't remember. I still haven't gone back and watched 1917 again, and honestly, I don't think if I ever will. Whereas, like, with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I will be watching this movie multiple times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
Let's see. It is above Us, which is at a 90.25. It is also above Soul, which is also at a 90.25. And then finally, it is above The Matrix, which is at a 90.24.
I'm sorry,
you know, that's the way the freaking cookie crumbles. The only score that has ever been bestowed upon the All Brothers that doesn't make any sense is that freaking dork that wrongly did Scott Pilgrim. That freaking guy.
I forget what score we had of that before. Like, I'm pretty sure it was at an A- before.
Didn't you say that? What was that guy's name? Is that the Brucken guy?
Brucker.
Freaking Brucker, dude. We're gonna take your freaking horror podcast and shove it up your ace, man. Because didn't he give that a C-? That is going to be a point of contention for me forever with this guy.
So we gave it like an A-, which is
correct,
like a really high A-. Like it was barely not cracking an A when we scored it. When he scored it, like his personal score, like when he went through and did all the scores, he gave it an F.
Like,
and
do
so,
you just
like,
enjoy?
Because we like average it out, that's why it's like at a C.
What's crazy about that is, like, if you were just to take just the video game movies and put them in their hierarchy where they belong, like, Scott Pilgrim is in the top 5, like, hands down. Unless you're going, like, it has to be a video game first, and then a movie. But, I mean, there's a video game for Scott Pilgrim now anyway. I own it. So, like, it counts. That's just crazy. Like, how does this guy have such bad opinions? Brucker. What is the matter with you, bro? Like,
oh shit.
Does this guy have a family that you know of? Are they okay? Do we need to check on them?
That is an excellent question.
I mean, last I saw, he's happily married.
Yep.
To who? Like, lady, take this man to the freaking crazy bin. You freaking.
Oh shit.
I just need to know why he gave it an F. That's what I gotta know. Like, was he just having a bad day? That's it. That's the only thing. You have to be having a bad day.
Do you want me to send you the link to his review of Scott Pilgrim?
Kind of, but I also don't know that I might not end up direct messaging this guy and be like, hey, man, what the heck is wrong with you? Did Michael Cera, did you go to high school with him and he like punched you in the face or something? Like, what's your problem?
Yeah, he stopped doing the show that he did that review on a while ago, but the feed is still up on Spotify. I'll send it to you. But
Please.
He's super cool. So like if you message him, like yeah, that'd be good.
By the way, Brucker, you should know I jest, okay? Vic and I are actually friends, okay? We're not really enemies. You do have terrible Scott Pilgrim opinions. I'll never come off that. But I'm sure you're a fine, upstanding, not serial killer kind of guy.
Just for shits and giggles.
Oh yeah, where was Sonic?
Yeah, the first Sonic the Hedgehog was at an 83.81%, which put it at a B.
Yeah, I would stand by that if I were you.
I would too.
I mean, listen, for what it ended up being, you could, if you were just going to throw all bets out the window, like you could call it an A only because it should have been an F. So theoretically, like it deserves an A for that. But I mean,
well, if we
for what it was,
if we would have gotten the exact same movie, just with that horrendous
that
character,
muskrat face, freaking Sonic, yeah,
yeah, like I don't see it affecting the score that much.
Well, that's what I was saying.
I'd be
like,
giving the effects like a 2.
Yeah, well, okay, fair.
But that's the thing, like that's what I was trying to say before is like they clearly didn't have to change the story, like they just had to change the effects of Sonic. So like the bones of it were still there, and it was a good movie. I would definitely watch it again. But yeah, no, I think that's exactly right.
From my understanding, the special, like they had a lot of the only special effects that were completely done with that design were the ones that we saw in the trailer. Like that
I would
was
believe
all...
that. I would believe that if they didn't push it back like a couple months after the backlash.
Yeah, well, they
Yeah,
pushed
and
it back to do like a full replacement of the character, because like the movie, how close was the movie to like coming out? It was like a month or two.
Hey, I was going to
before
say
it-
it wasn't far,
Yeah.
and they pushed it back quite a bit to be like, just kidding. We'll think about this a little longer.
Yeah, and so I mean that makes sense because you're like completely redoing everything.
I want to find out in 10 years that this was a ploy, because that was one of the conspiracy theories that went around, that they put that out just to like drum up, what's the word? Like, heat on that movie, because people were going to be like, this is ridiculous. You need to make it look like Sonic. I can't imagine anyone would gamble like that, because that's a stupid thing to gamble on, but people have done dumber things. So I would love if that ended up being...
Dude, I wouldn't even be mad. I wouldn't be mad in the slightest.
everything lost. But did you lose me?
Yeah, just for
Now
a
we're
little
good.
bit. Sorry, what did you say?
I don't even know. I thought you could hear me, and I was like, wow, what I must have said was very impactful.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
My Wi-Fi was just acting up again.
I'm so sorry. I want to blame it. You know what? It's not his Wi-Fi, folks. It's my Wi-Fi. I'm terrible. I'm sorry. I have Florida Wi-Fi, and it's terrible. There's alligators running all through it.
Oh. Well, anyway, like I said, that concludes this headliner. So, Rose, if you want to take it from here.
I would love to. So, if you like what you heard, want to follow and subscribe to us wherever you're listening to podcasts. We are damn near everywhere. DJ, would you like to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes, I would. You can find us being pretty. How would you describe my my internet comings and goings here recently, Caleb?
That is an excellent question.
I'll tell you this: I haven't posted on Instagram or Twitter in like 10 episodes. And here's what's really crazy. This is what I'm going to talk about on my show. So, spoiler alert. I haven't posted in like 10 episodes. And do you know how much it's changed our listenership? Guess.
Like
0?
None. None at all. It hasn't gone up or down. So, you can find us on all the social media platforms at Untrained iPod. That's EYEPOD. And if I have 5 people DM me, different people, and they just go, hey man, we want to see what kind of posts you would post if you posted, then I'll start posting again. But otherwise, I'm going to throw up a story every now and then on Instagram, and I'll like your tweets on Twitter. Or if you want to get on, if you want to get on me,
pretty consistent.
if you want to get on me and Caleb's algorithm, you can hit me up on TikTok, and I will send you all the TikToks, all of them.
They're pretty great. I can vouch for that.
I try and send like the freaking elite ones. So
Yeah, I occasionally get a little loosey-goosey with the stuff that I send.
oh yeah. By the way, I don't know why. It's because it's late. Like, don't let everything I just said, throw that out the window. Yeah, I'm terrible on social media, but you know where I'm great is with my wife on the Untrained Eye podcast that I didn't even mention at all. Beth and I do the show. Beth has been on the show, this show a couple times as well, and yeah, it's a great show. People seem to like it consistently, whether we post or not. So come on through, give it a listen. I didn't even talk about Russia or Ukraine on like the last 2 episodes. So there you go.
Dude, the most I don't think the like I know you not blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
I know that you titled the episode what you titled it, but I don't
Say
think
it.
that
What is
I
it?
don't think that your joke got enough love.
Wait, which are you talking about?
The whole like Black Lightning and I want to be his sidekick Vanilla Thunder.
Oh my god, I love it.
That dude, I was in the bathroom at work when I heard that, and I started laughing my ass off.
Well, can I tell you? There's a song. There's a song by Ben Folds 5 called "Draw a Crowd," and he at the very end of that song, he's like, "I only wanted to be Stevie Wonder, but I had to settle for this Vanilla Thunder." And I always thought Vanilla Thunder was a hilarious thing to say. And so when I heard Black Lightning, I was like, "That Vanilla Thunder would be a great sidekick."
Oh shit.
Oh man.
So those are the kind of hijinks you're gonna get over at the Untrained Eye.
And it's great. Every week. Dude, I love your guys' show so much.
And us you.
If you prefer to catch all of our episodes on YouTube, we also not videos. Oh my god! If you prefer to catch our episodes on YouTube, you can also listen there. We upload them there as well. If you want to follow us on social media, where you can DM us with episode ideas, answer our questions of the week when we actually post them. And that's also a great way to let us know that you would like to join us, because we would love to have anyone on. And those include Facebook, which would be facebook.com/The Allbros, Twitter and Instagram @The Allbros. We're also on TikTok @The Allbros, even though I haven't posted a video in a very long time. I really need to get better at that. And then if you prefer to email us, you can do just that. We are the Allbros channel @gmail.com. If you want to check out our website, get to know each of us a little better, you can find us at tinyurl.com/The Allbros, where it is the best place to buy our merch, because it's the only place that you can actually get whatever you want because of stupid studios. But if you prefer to get your merch from somewhere else, or like the actual official merch website, you can go to tpublic.com/user/The Allbros channel. Caleb, what is next week? Because I can't remember now.
Wait, I have one quick question.
Yeah.
Do we have any Monster House updates?
We have had 2 sales.
Woo!
I'm just saying. Like, it doesn't stop.
Dude, it does not.
Oh,
Like,
God, I love it.
Dude, I'm trying to switch over our merch shop to Teespring, but it is so much freaking work. I have 200 episodes worth of episode art to go through. It's like, shit. And then, like, I'm making new ones, too, so I'm like, jeez. Like, I have so many shirt designs, like, ready to be, like, converted into, like, the actual, like, size and everything for shirts. I haven't done it.
Ooh, I know it's not a thing anymore, but maybe you could make, like, how you do the little animations now. You could make Allbros NFTs.
Oh, man.
I'm just kidding. I think NFTs are over. I think did you hear what happened? So Jack, the Twitter CEO, he like made his first tweet into a NFT, and it went on to, he wanted to try and sell it for, I want to say something, we'll just say an arbitrary million number, which was like, we'll say 40 million or 400 million, something crazy. The highest bid that came in for that NFT, just guess. I'll give you a hint. It's about what I thought Rose had invested on his Gacy merch.
Oh, just like 2,500.
It was like $3,600. That was what came in.
Jeez.
So I think NFTs are over.
Jeez, dude, that one artist who freaking sold like $60 million worth of
good for
his
him.
NFT. Yeah, like
him and Beeple, that Beeple dude that makes that weird art that I like very much.
Oh, that was him. That was who I was talking about.
Oh yeah, dude, that guy made multiple millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. All right, I'm sorry. So long.
No, like,
all right.
No, you're good.
I mean, sorry, Caleb. What did you say next week's episode is?
Oh, it's called Stone Cold.
Not the wrestler.
You're doing that next week?
Yep.
Are you guys just doing it, or is Ben coming on?
As far as I'm aware, Ben is coming on.
God, thank you. This,
Or
guys,
actually,
I got a preview of it. Oh my God. Please. Like, I am not usually the one to be like, go watch a movie, because I don't know. People have different tastes. Go watch this movie, please. I just saw the trailer for it. Please watch it. Please.
Oh, shit.
It's going to be amazing. You guys almost can't not love this movie. Yes. It's going to be stone cold.
All right. Well, yeah, that will do it.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good, man. I'm horrible at editing these things. This has been the All Bros Podcast. I am Jonathan.
And I'm Caleb.
And I'm your baby brother.
I love it. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Oh, shit.
I thought you were going to do Herbert. Sorry.
No, you're good. Dude, I don't think I could do it. Sorry, man.
Deuces.
So long.
There we go. DJ's got it for me.